The game plays right here.
Are you ready for some football?
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.
Hello, this is Milton Baker inviting you to listen to NASCAR Racing right here on WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM, and KTCBroadcasting.com.
Man, I only do things incredible can, cause I am the seed of a chosen breed. You don't see too many like me, cause I am one of the reasons you do what you do when you wanna be me instead of you, cause I am still on beat, showing love to the streets. Come on, you know me, cause that's who I am.
It's too late now.
Now welcome.
Welcome, everybody, to today's episode of Shock Joxx podcast presented by KTC Broadcasting. Hunter Yancey here, Zach Mayhew, and Kevin Hastings. I think Tom was supposed to join us.
He'll be here. He's running a little late. Waiting on something about a cabinet man or something was measuring.
Something about
do what, Zach?
Somebody just closed the door. Sound like he might be coming in now.
There he is walking down the hall right now, Hunter. So you can.
Tom, we've told you time and time again, this is not your intro music.
This is not his walk-up music, but he treats it like it is.
This guy didn't show up on Saturday?
Yeah.
It's the same guy.
He said,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
sure it's talking to the same guy.
It is. Yeah.
Hey, guys. Sorry for the delay. I got wife wants to redo the kitchen, and trying to get somebody to come to your house and do anything is a challenge. So if they say they're coming, you better meet them. So
did y'all have to discuss any COVID regulations for them to come to your house?
I offered him hand sanitizer, and this was his response. My wife is in healthcare, and she and I don't believe in that stuff. So, I guess you can just take that for what it is.
Now, I will say this. As soon as you said that he said his wife is in healthcare, I thought he was going to say absolutely, not that they don't believe in hand sanitizer. What healthcare system does she work for? I promise you
I think he was making a joke.
Okay, I hope he was joking. I hope so. You never know.
I just want whatever pill the doctors take.
Yeah.
Well,
how many doctors do you know have?
There have been some stories about some that have died, like the one that originally discovered the virus. He's dead.
The Chinese guy.
Yeah,
I remember seeing his.
Oh, I don't trust that. I'm talking about. Do you know any doctors in, like, say, Shelby or Gastonia that catch? Not just this. I'm talking about all diseases.
They're probably
like
pretty.
They can meet and talk to all these people with all these diseases and infections and everything else, and they never get. Have you ever heard of Dr. White being sick, Zach?
No, but you know, we was talking about last week about herd immunity, and you build up an immune system because you're around it so much.
That's
so
true too. They don't has a lot to do with it.
They don't quarantine and hide.
Well, I want whatever pill Magic Johnson's taking too. Him and the doctors have got something secret that the rest of the society doesn't know about.
He had it a long time ago.
His aides are older than Hunter.
I can tell you exactly what it is. It's called being a multimillionaire.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
You can afford great health care.
I was watching regular television the other day, and they were advertising a pill that you could take on regular television. I'm looking at Manny, I'm like, have we got that far in technology where they just got this pill that you can? And they was giving the side effects of the pill like all the other medicines.
The side effects always crack me up. So,
Yeah,
he's down here listening to him for his on the diabetic commercials and other things like that. And You just listen to them, especially during the law shows. You hear a lot of that, and the lawyers and the side effects. For heartburn, this will give you, may give you cancer. My favorite one is anal leakage. That's a great side effect.
Yeah.
Let
me sign that
of
for
all
that
the
one.
ones. And
Thanks for sharing.
they've got some great ones.
I might have took that pill a long time ago. Sometimes.
That's how I feel. Sometimes I look to see the commercials they come up
bad.
for something
They're
new
so
that
worse.
they've created to try and help psoriasis, and I'm like, I wonder if it's going to be really helpful. Maybe I should take it. And then it gets to the side effects that may cause increased risk of infection, may cause cancer.
Anytime it says it may cause death, I mean that's worse than what's going on, right?
And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want either one of those things. What else are you telling me that I could get? Sorry. I don't feel like I'm going to do that.
Well, guys, we've got the full house packed in today. Rob Roop came in Monday to join the show. Had a good time with Rob and Tom. We went over a refresher. We did two Mount Rushmores, guys. The Eagles. He had Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, Brian Dawkins, and Chuck Bednarik was his Eagles Mount Rushmore. And
He's an Eagles fan, so
Right.
he would know. Yeah.
So we went with his decisions on that. We discussed whether Foles should be on it as opposed to Cunningham,
No.
or McNabb as opposed to Cunningham, and then there was a couple more that were mentioned, but he ended up staying with Bednarik on. I think Brian Westbrook was the one that was just right off the list from the top.
What
four.
about Terrell Owens? You put him on?
He wasn't even nominated. Did we even talk about him? I don't even think we talked about him.
Definitely Reggie and definitely Randall Cunningham. For me.
Keith Byers? Maybe Keith Byers as well?
I mentioned Keith Jackson from Super Bowl because we talked about how Randall was in kind of the same situation as Vic was, where his best receiver was kind of really the tight end with Keith Jackson, and Michael had Algie Crumpler. He had Mike Quick out there, but he ain't that. He wasn't all that.
Ron Jaworski, didn't
Jaws, no.
Yeah,
Jaws
Jaws
did
is
not.
a good one.
So that's what we were talking about as far as the quarterback shit. You got Randall, he's the all-time leading rusher. You got McNabb in, 3 or 4 straight AFC Championship games. And then Foles actually won the Super Bowl. So who do you go with? He ended up going Randall, sticking on that. Now, Tom, the interesting one, and I know Hunter and Zach might not have anything about this, but I also gave Robbie the Crest football Mount Rushmore. And
He's going to get himself in trouble with that one.
I'm going to be the one that breaks your heart. You did not make the Mount Rushmore.
I didn't make it. There's no punters on the route. We're not putting the Ray Guy of Crest High School.
No.
Actually, Brandon Kale was probably the best punter that came through Crest. Brandon punted at Wofford and was very close to getting a professional tryout. So Brandon was very, very good.
Will be on there.
Tom didn't make it. He just. I'm sorry, but
I
told Rob I want to be the first one to let you in.
Guys on the guys on the scout team don't make Mount Rushmore. I mean, I was the Rudy on defense too.
I tell you, the final who we ended up going with in the final four was Tim Ramsor, Trey Harbison, Brandon Spikes, and Jonathan Bullard was his top 4.
I think you can make a decent case for Ryan Hamrick.
He originally had Herbert Harbison on there and took him off and put in Trey. We talked about some of the young guys now with the Justin Fosters and the Landon Zanders. Willie Green never lost a game.
Willie Green.
He won how many players at Crest can you say won a state championship and never lost a game?
And Robbie didn't nominate him.
No, he didn't. I had to bring him up.
I mean, he won 2 back-to-back state titles and never lost a game.
Never lost. Then we ended up talking about running backs and stuff. We ended up selling on Trey because he had the biggest. I guess there at Crest, he had 7 touchdowns in a single state championship game. That's hard to beat. But of course, all the other guys were mentioned. Jalen Moore and he had a couple of older guys that I didn't know about. That you guys might know about that played back in the 80s. He named 2 guys he said 2,500 rushers, 100.
They had a really, really super fast running back at the time that wound up going to Crest and then running the USA Olympics too, didn't they?
Manio Mitchell is right. He was talking about Travis Padgett, probably who you're talking about. Manio Mitchell, Tom. If we were going to do a all sports at Crest, would Manio have to be on it, right?
Yeah,
and that would be David Thompson. So there's 2 spots. If you was doing all of them, would you have a thought or idea on the last 2 maybe, or should I leave that to the the Fosters and the Roops to go with.
Yeah, I mean,
You went
if you
there, too.
if you did in all sports, it's hard to keep Willie Green off there. I mean, it's just
They didn't even put him on the football.
and that I'm not going to get into why
Right.
that might be the case, but definitely.
Well, the other guys also went to bigger colleges and things like that.
yeah, but it doesn't
That's
matter.
where
We're talking about what they did as a Crest Charger,
True,
not
no.
what they.
True.
I mean, Tyrone Odoms went off and has coached, I believe, Division I football.
Mm-hmm.
So why not put Tyrone? If you're going to say his
Right.
football IQ and football legacy, I mean, Tyrone Odoms should be on there. I mean, so
Hunter, are you on the Mount Rushmore of Bandy soccer?
Maybe.
He said he gave him maybe there, Hunt. Tom.
maybe.
Tom, are you on the Mount Rushmore of Crest soccer?
No, I am not because I didn't play soccer at Crest.
Maybe. It depends on who you ask.
You sort of have to be on the
Okay,
team.
if I ask Hunter, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah, I am. Two-time
Duh.
all conference, one time all region. I mean, hell. Come on now.
Well,
what do you want with it? We don't produce many state players, so I was pretty good if I made all regions. So
You made all region?
Mm.
Oh, okay. Pretty good.
You left foot or right foot?
both. Well, predominantly right-footed, but I played left outside back. So
Whatever
I could use
you
both.
just said means nothing to me. But
left outside
He
defender.
played defense.
I played defense, but when I played travel ball, I was center mid.
okay,
So I could do the jack of all trades stuff. Just when I was in high school, that's what I was the best at. So.
well, you know, Rob was in here Monday, and we were talking a little bit about that. I saw some folks doing soccer drills and soccer practice yesterday out in Kings Mountain. That they've taken the rims off the basketball courts during all this. I don't know if they've done that in other cities and towns, but I do remember like about a week into the shutdown, there was a bunch of people out there playing. So I'm guessing some negative Nancy drove by and complained about that to the city, and they took the goals down. They actually locked the fence to the field, but you know, it's a fence without an end, so you just walk to the end of the fence to get on the field, and that's what people were doing.
Yeah.
For that. But Tom, I saw 500 cars out at this field this weekend. It's travel ball here in North Carolina, and they're playing. And then you got your Optimuses not playing, and your local, your little leagues, your legions, and all these other people are not playing. But the travel ball folks seem
was that
to not be worried about or paying attention.
You can't
to any
stop
of the
travel
rules.
ball. That's a completely different beast.
If it's at a private facility, now you probably know, Kevin. There's
What if you could rent a? But what if can you rent it from a publicly owned facility though? Because that's
No.
the one I went by.
I don't know about that.
I
but
know for a fact the place I went by is owned by the county. And I'm not going to say which county. It's a county-owned
they're
facility.
just defying the order.
They had hundreds of cars out there.
I went to one field, was at Tuckasegee, where some ex-Major League players have put in a bunch of money. Same thing up in Marion. It's a big league park, which is a very nice facility. I don't really like the AstroTurf concept, but it looks nice. I mean, it's a very nice facility.
It's good for if you're having multiple games in a day.
Right.
Because I will
You don't
say
have to
this,
drag it.
at
You know what I'm
at Ashboro, well, when they had that Legion tournament, when the rain, that was the key. When it rained, they squeegeed that
Squeegee
son
it
of a
off and
gun
you're ready to
off,
go.
and we were ready to
Yeah.
go in 20 minutes.
Right.
And I think that's made the biggest probably advantage. For that.
But they had what was up there. Now they had one umpire, and you call them balls and strikes from behind the mound, which I mean, is what it is. But most of the review was positive. I mean, you can't really tell fair or foul. There wasn't a lot of hot shots
it's
down the
tough.
line. So I mean, if there was a hot shot down the line, just do your best. I mean, they were just playing, and 90% of the coaches out there were very positive and coached their teams well. Had problems out of one, but there's always somebody. Yeah, it's always somebody.
Instead of the one man behind the mound, to me, it would almost be better just to be one man behind the plate.
Correct.
Would just be because you can get the foul lines.
They did not.
You can see the first base call.
They did not. The theory is that if the umpire is the one has the COVID, then he's going to infect everybody. So they limit the amount of time.
That's the reason. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why you're behind there. I would never ever. I've done games by myself in the past, and I was always behind the plate.
Right.
I was never, because now you can do the fair foul best you can.
Exactly. And also, if you're worried about to play at second, how many plays are at second? Not many.
Well, if you're behind the plate, you're going to miss the
The
steal.
steal. That's the biggest thing.
Or the pickoff.
Is a steal or a pickoff. Really, that's the only thing. But if I'd rather almost miss that as opposed to the fair foul. That fair foul to me is way more important.
See,
is it not?
I'm the other way around. I think that the likelihood is less that you get that ball over the bag because you're going to.
Not only that. I'm not necessarily.
But guys
I'm talking about even foul balls down the line and things like that with the outfielders messing around down there.
Yeah, you could sort of move, but there's going to be a lot of plays at second base because kids are going to try to steal at that level. Kids fall asleep. They run bases poorly. They try to stretch singles into doubles when they absolutely shouldn't. So there's a lot of stupid stuff that happens at second base in that level of ball. So either way, it's kind of pick your poison. I think I do enjoy being there, but as far as balls and strikes and fair foul, you do want to be behind the plate. And I guess I just got back there and got my plate voice in the middle of the diamond. I think some other guys felt funny doing that, and they just didn't do it. And the one guy said, because I just got down, I just pretended I was behind the plate. Like I got my plate stance, and when the ball came across, I just called it just like I was behind the plate. And one guy, and you don't get too much of this. If you hear nothing after the game, you did a good job. And that's what I like, just nothing, and just go to my car. One guy came over there and says, well, I appreciate you yelling out balls and strikes because it felt like it was a ball game. And then he said, I can't believe I missed the umpires, but I did miss the umpires. So, it's one of those things that they like vocal. People like to know, is it a ball, is it a strike? They get mad at you when you miss a call, but they get really mad at you when they don't know what it is. Like ball comes across, it's close, you don't say anything, and then everybody's like, well, what is it, a ball or a strike? That's what people get. So even when you miss it and you're hollering out strike.
A lot of people don't say the word ball. And so I got that would have to be a problem or different.
I do not know why, because in every umpire school, ball the pitch, strike the pitch. It's one or the other. If it's a ball, say it's a ball. Even if it's not close, you've got like different enunciations. Like if it's, chin music, ball, but if it's, close, you might ball, give it a little bit more enunciation.
I got into a lot
when it's closer.
Because, the batter and the catcher can hear you.
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying ball where the crowd can hear. I don't really care about the crowd. I would say outside, inside, something like that every now and then.
And the school is different on that. Like some tell you, like the old school was, do not say that.
Yeah.
Because the old school is the less you say, the better off you are, which is true. If you officiate, sometimes a bit less you say, unless you have to say something. But if you say ball outside, then you don't. If you say ball, and from the dugout, the coach is like, where was it? Where was it? So if you go ahead and say ball inside, or ball low, then they don't ask where it was because they know. So it depends. And then of course, if you have a smart aleck coach. Ball low. No, it wasn't. No, and you get into, you're going to run into a turd. It's just society. I don't care what you do for a living, you're going to run into a turd. But most of the time, if you do that, most coaches appreciate the fact that you're trying to get it right and you're trying to communicate with them, most of them. 9 out of 10. You do a game where you have 10 coaches, one's going to be a jerk, no matter what. So it don't matter how hard you work, what you do, what you say. But most people at that level are their skill development of the players.
Those coaches like that, I always just sit there and think, if you would put as much effort and passion into teaching defense and as much as you do yelling at me or base running too.
Okay, here's a situation where I really, I say less than what I want to say. You got a guy at second. All right, ball hit to short, less than 2 outs. Well, what do? Ball's hit in front of you. You freeze. Now, you may watch the throw. It might get away, take an extra step. If you're really fast and you can kind of judge it once you release, you're doing all that. Ball hit to the shortstop, kid immediately takes off. Coach doesn't say anything. So they throw it to third, and he's out by a foot. Coach wants to complain. Kid wants to stand on the base. And, posture.
Right.
And I say, son, you're out. You didn't get in the dugout. You're out. You need to get in the dugout. You don't have to talk to him like that. I was like, Coach, and I shouldn't have said this, but I said, Coach, he's acting that way because you encouraged that behavior. I hope you know that. Right? And he tried to say something else. I said, you are encouraging that behavior. That's why he's acting like that. And then, eventually you have to threaten to throw the guy out of the game. You know what I mean? And nobody likes to do that. But it's just any coach. It's like, if you don't know what you're doing, it's fine. Just don't yell at. Don't come to the ballpark to yell at officials if you don't know what you're doing. Now, there's experienced coaches around here. There's Coach Reynolds. There's Coach Hebner. There's Coach Hodge down at Crest. If those guys are yelling at you, at least they know a little something about the game. You know, and you could sort of take it. I mean, the guy's yelling. He knows more about the game than I do, and he's yelling at me. That's fine. But when some guy obviously doesn't know baseball is yelling at you, that does get under your skin a little bit.
Well, yeah, and if there's a problem, just tell you tell your kids, hey, you go, if he calls you out, get out, and then let me deal with it. As a coach,
right? Especially when you're not like I say, well, ball's hit in front of you and you immediately take off, and the coach. Now, what are most coaches going to do? If that's Stephen Hodge or that's somebody like that, what are you doing?
Yeah,
that's what he's going to say.
That?
Yeah,
right,
why?
Right.
What are you doing?
Yep.
If it's Tony Wall at Chase or Coach Fowler at RS Central, they're going to say, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Listen to me. Look at me. Pick me up."
Yep.
But then when you got the guys that don't know what they're doing, then they're just going to turn it. They want to be the hero to the kids. And I was like, look, I don't know how much you guys are paying to be on this team, but you're not learning baseball. Right. So it doesn't matter if you're playing if you're not learning baseball. They say practice makes perfect. Practice makes permanent. If you learn the game wrong, it takes a while. It takes a while to undo it.
Well, Hunter, you were mentioning earlier that today is the MLB draft. Buddy Ralph Roberts posted earlier today about his picture from the draft, and of course he was drafted multiple times. This year that they've changed up some of the rules. We got a big picture of this kid from Georgia on the front of that. Do what?
I'm picking up
Well, that's coming from down the hall.
Oh, okay.
That's Dad's phone in there. Of course, my internet all of a sudden went slow on me, Hunter, when I'm trying to pull up the draft order. I'll go ahead and go with you. I'm going. You gonna know anything or got anything on the draft real quick while we're working on it?
I'll be 100% honest. I pay attention to every draft except baseball.
Yeah.
And it's just because until this year, I really don't care about the 100 rounds that you're gonna have. Half those kids are only gonna see single A ball, and that's it. Some of them might see light use in double A. Other than that, it's a great opportunity, absolutely. That's it.
Funny thing about MLB is, man, that's one of the biggest hit and misses of the drafts that you have. Sometimes
it is the biggest.
I mean, you can pick the first guy, and he might not even ever pan out. And that's compared to NFL and NBA.
Well, I can use somebody that I know. 100%. I did not know if Hunter was gonna make it. Hunter Harvey, when they took him in the first round straight out of high school. Obviously, he's only a year older than me. We were in high school together. And it's only because I knew he had the talent. I didn't know if he had the drive. So he's talented as all get out. And it obviously helps that you grow up and your father was a professional baseball player and you've had all the tools available to you. And, of course, he's got the size and he's got the arm strength. And so I didn't know about that, but it was awesome that he got drafted anyways, and it was first round. And it goes back to your point, well, this kid sometimes can be the biggest bust. He was hurt. It seemed consistently his first 3 years in the league, and it was some sort of freak injury too. Like a ball came back to him, broke his leg, something like that, or maybe he hurt himself walking just to the dugout, rolled his ankle, and it took him out for a while. He had to get Tommy John surgery. So it's one of those things that it speaks to what you're saying, Zach. Is you never know, and that's you can put that really to any draft. You never know how the kid's gonna turn out, but baseball, just for them to have so many picks, I don't know. There's just so many players, I lose track of them. And you could say the same thing about the NFL. Oh, well, he might be nothing but a scout team player. There's still only 6-7 rounds. We're not talking it's day 4 with round 25 being picked.
It's changed, and here's the changes. What Hunter's talking about.
I think it's only 5 rounds.
5 rounds instead of 40.
Wow.
That's
40
amazing,
rounds. And you got to remember, 30 teams, that's 1,200 players.
So basically you've just exploded the number of free agents.
Right.
Okay.
And what it's going to do, they've cut minor league teams. So you're going to flood the independent leagues with
Coastal League and stuff like that.
Right. They're going to be flooded. Then also the kids that were going to be drafted, maybe not be drafted,
transfer.
Ton of JUCO guys. The JUCO, this may be the best JUCO year of all time, based just on guys who were going to get drafted after round 6. I'm like, well, I got another year or two, whatever. I'm going to go play JUCO ball somewhere. That's a big thing. Slot money will be identical in 2009 as into 2019. I know people don't care. Number 1 pick will get $8 million. 2, 7, 3, 7, 4, and 5, 6, and it goes down from there. Undrafted players can sign for a maximum. Now, when you talk about these players and stuff, this is what they're drafted. If you're undrafted and signed with Major League Baseball, maximum $20,000.
That's insane.
That's all you get. And then what was it, $400 a week? I think that the players get in the league. So
come on, we all know all they get: pack of peanuts and a bus ticket.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
we think the college players don't get nothing. The minor leaguers really don't. You get paid with your signing bonus, and then it's your $400 or $500 week stipend after that. And there were 167 players drafted in the first 5 rounds last year. To give you an idea, so that suggests that 513 players selected after the 5th round received bonuses of more than 20,000. So it's just total cut down all across the board. As far as money, draft is tonight at 7 p.m. But here on
I don't think that's
KTC,
a
we'll be
problem,
concerned
though.
with the race car driver.
I'm gonna say I don't think that's a problem though for them to cut it down as substantially as they did round wise. To only having 5 rounds, that's still a substantial amount of players and usually because you say the same thing when you look at the NFL draft. In the 5th round, you can still find a quality starter. You can probably say the same thing for baseball. You can probably still find a quality starter. When you're looking at round 20, 30, you got to pray to God one of them is a gem in the rough.
Yeah, but
or
you're
else they're sitting in the minor league system at the same time.
But you're filling out your single A, double
Now
A.
you are.
I mean, it's a little
That's exactly
different.
what
It's
it is.
a little different. It's
Now
a little
you are,
different, yeah.
but you can do the same thing right now, just undrafted free
Think
agents.
about,
you
with
can
the-
almost
with the
have
pa-
open
Yeah.
trials.
I mean, I see what you're saying.
You can do the same thing. You just don't have to have the extra 35 rounds. They're just undrafted free agents.
In football and basketball,
But-
we're begging for the players to get paid $50,000 in the XFL, for example.
Mhm.
In baseball, they're getting 20. Think about all the players in all those levels, and they're not making anything. Pujols, he got screwed so much. They didn't pay him until his 7th year. Well, after he had the best first 10 years of any Major League Baseball player in history, and the Cardinals got basically 6 years free. In the 6 years, they're paying him $600,000 because of you own them for 7 years in the arbitrations and stuff. It's the baseball. They don't have it. They get screwed on the big guys, the Trouts and whatever. But from him down, the baseball. They were talking about the baseball union being powerful. I'm not so sure how powerful it is if your minor leaguers are getting 20 and the owners own each player basically till their 7th year, and then after that it's you don't know, you're downhill from there unless the draft to me, baseball players, you're talking to guys. I've known 2 good right-handers who threw about 93. Nowadays that's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they both said if you throw it over the plate, it gets hammered. I went and watched one. He threw slider after slider after cutter into the dirt. And he said, if I throw it anywhere knees or above the plate, they knock it off the wall. And that was in Double A. He's like, there's just nothing you can do on the hitters, and that just makes you think how good a lot of those guys are. They put their whole lives into it. If you play in the minors team of 30, you're only making $20,000 after you first sign bonus. So unless you make it in baseball, you don't make a lot of money on that. Like I said, that's at 7 p.m. Tonight. I was trying to find a projection for you guys to go over some of them. Look, I can go down the list of number 1 overall picks here. I'm pulling up a projection, see if it works.
Yeah, there was a projection earlier on there, and I went by it. I was just talking about, how much of a crapshoot it is. So I just randomly popped in a 1998 just so we would have some years to see somebody.
Oh, okay.
It's a first-round pick in 1998. I'll name the ones that I know in the first round, 1998. Pat Burrell was first. Mark Mulder, I think everybody would know Mark Mulder. He was really good. He was number 2.
Yeah, pitcher.
J.D. Drew, I think he was really, really good. I think
Left-handed hitter for the Cardinals. Yeah.
Yep. Austin Kearns, I think everybody would know him. Felipe Lopez, I remember that name. Carlos Pena, really pretty decent.
Yep.
Jeff Weaver comes to mind. Brad Lidge does come to mind as a pitcher. And everybody else on those 30, I don't know who they are.
All right, I'm going to read you the number 1 picks in the last few years. Last year, Adley Rutschman.
Didn't he go play overseas though?
I don't know. It says Baltimore. It don't say anything.
Oh no, never mind. No, there was. Oh, I know who it was. It was an Atlanta Braves drafted player. He opted not to play minor league baseball and decided to go and play and make money overseas. That's what
2018 Detroit Tigers, Casey Mize. 2017 Royce Lewis. 2016 Mickey Moniak. Any ever heard of them?
Nope.
No, not even playing right now. I don't think they're in the
So
at
all
the pro
those,
level.
so
right
we're
now.
going all the way back to 2015 before I've heard of a guy shortstop. You guys heard of him? How about Dansby Swanson?
Yep, he's played.
What about 2014 Brady Aiken?
Dansby Swanson, but he did about when was that? 15. He was drafted.
2015 Arizona.
He did about
Diamondbacks.
3 or 4 years in the minors though.
What I was surprised at this year, I don't know if you've looked at it, but a lot of the guys that are projected in the first round are college players.
I would bet all of them are now.
Yeah, which really, I guess I'm just a little bit behind the curve. But when I was paying attention to that, because what caught my eye is the Cleveland Indians are going to take a pitcher out of high school pitcher out of Texas.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I noticed the ages. That's what I was
Yes.
seeing on the thing. So
Right.
you're 21, so you're talking about college versus
Right.
an 18-year-old drafted
The
out of high
muscle-
school.
the
So
muscle-
that's what
right.
same
The
thing I
muscle
noticed.
you put
Yeah.
on from 19 to 22, I would have to say that they unless that high school pitcher is just
The man amongst boys.
slinging throwing 95 in high school, I see them leaning a lot more towards.
So everyone's
college guys.
Wasn't like Doc Gooden 19 or 20.
He was
young.
19.
Yeah,
Ever heard of
and
Brady
he was throwing
Aiken?
some heat.
Yeah, and I think Nolan
Brady
Ryan was
Aiken?
19. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Mark
Heat.
Apple?
100 miles an hour.
Carlos Correa?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 2012. Garrett Cole,
Yes.
Bryce Harper.
Yes.
So in the last decade, we've heard of 4 of the 10.
Number 1 overall pick.
That's
Right.
2009, Steven Strasburg. 2008, Tim Beckham.
I remember
I do
Strasburg.
too.
Anybody remember
Yeah,
Beckham?
Strasburg's still damn good.
I know,
too.
right?
Yeah.
David Price was 07.
Strasburg just won him his World Series.
Was
with
Price
the-
a pitcher as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was originally
He's
with
still-
the Tigers.
You said David Price?
No, David Price wasn't with the Tigers, was it? Am I wrong?
Right now?
He was
No, Dave. Not now. I'm saying originally.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa. I was going to say Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
No.
I was thinking
Wasn't the
for
Tigers.
Luke Hochevar.
Verlander was originally with the Tigers. That's
Anybody
what I
heard
was
of
thinking about.
Vokacher? Nope. Hokager. Justin Upton in 05. We heard of
Yeah,
him.
no Justin Upton. Him and his
04
brother did a stint in Atlanta.
04, Matt Bush. 03, Delman Young. 02, Brian Bullington. 01, Joe Mauer.
Joe Mauer.
2000, Adrian Gonzalez. So in the past 20 years, we've heard of basically 7 to 10 of the 20 number 1 overall picks. And you know, if you
And
think,
one of
if you
them
think
is
you were picking
a-
between 500 people, you would know maybe who the
And
best
one of them
dude
is labeled a steroid.
I mean,
taker.
even if these, we don't even know these guys. That's a biggie. So
Now you ask probably some Major League Baseball aficionado.
right,
He's going to know all of them.
All right, so here,
But how many of them are actually worthy of that number 1 overall pick?
Or really national, what you're saying, on a national stage.
Yeah, on a national recognition level. When you say Bryce Harper, some people might think he's really not as great as he should be, but everybody knows his name.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Bryce Harper is.
Did you guys see, I know this is kind of changing. I don't think Kevin's quite finished, but the 76-game proposal.
Yeah, the players came back and countered with the 89
they
game.
went 89 first.
Okay,
we'll
so
get
that-
at just a second. All right,
Okay.
real quick, I want to go through the projections. Tigers are supposed to pick. You said you looked at some of these. Arizona State first baseman.
Yeah.
Orioles with the second pick. Everyone's saying outfielder, third baseman from Vanderbilt.
That's right.
Marlins with a left-handed pitcher from Texas A&M. Kansas City in the 4th spot with a high school outfielder, not a pitcher, outfielder. So he must rake. You were talking about the Indians. Let's scroll down to see what it had
Some
on.
pitcher
This
out
one
of
had you
Texas,
guys.
20. That's what he said. That's what it said.
Indians, Rangers. Yeah, where's the?
Indians had maybe 23rd.
I guess all the good teams are in the 20s, aren't they? Cardinals got a right-handed pitcher, the kid from Georgia, Cole Wilcox, or Nick Bitsko from a high school in Pennsylvania. Indians, they've got you a catcher from Ohio State or a right-handed pitcher from Texas. Is
Right.
that
The kid
guy
from
you were
Texas
talking
is
about?
the high school kid.
Catcher, it says the Brewers select Dingler. The Indians could pivot over to the pitchers, looking at the catcher. is
See,
what it says.
Indians typically build their team with pitching because they can't afford all those hitters. So that's why they always build their team. I mean, and then they try to find a Frankie Lindor or somebody like that, you know, who can hit a little bit. But they've not really scored a ton of runs. Last year they had a hard time.
The Braves are looking at 2 pitchers. It looks like by this one, Hunter.
It doesn't surprise me.
2 righties, one from University of Miami and another same kid from Texas. That the Indians were looking
It doesn't surprise me because that was what failed us, really. Age, which I'm going to say youth, was what failed us last year against the Cardinals, and the pitching absolutely fell apart when it came down to crunch time. Not to mention, we didn't retain Dallas Keuchel. So That's a loss at the start.
So you're a
pitcher
Washington
position.
fan as well.
He's Braves.
What? No, I'm
Braves.
Atlanta.
Okay.
Atlanta. Washington is just in football and basketball.
Okay.
Astros, Mets, and Padres have the most overall number.
I'm at
one
least
picks.
East regional. I'm not
Okay.
like Terry that just flies all the way out
Okay.
to Kansas City for some
Okay.
reason.
All right. He's a little, but Zach probably knows. He's a little geographically confused.
He's very geographically
But Kevin's
confused.
a little more consistent. You know, he's Appalachian State and Charlotte Hornets, but when you go football, then he's a little geographically confused.
Now.
I do not agree into choosing your teams by your geographic location.
I thought Kyle Busch was going to get his 101st win this weekend.
Whatever number Terry's on.
Did you hear that?
Whatever number Terry's on.
It's bad that I'm the one that had to call him out on it.
I asked Zach
You know?
about it the next one because he was on it and he's a Kyle Busch fan too. And he said no.
It's pretty bad because like out of all the NASCAR knowledge, I have the least.
Yeah.
But when he said that, I was like, that is not right because I remember like Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Gordon were there together, but I know they were both less than 100. I said, I think Darrell Waltrip won 84.
I thought, as soon as it was coming, I was just watching the race Sunday, and I
Hold
thought,
on, we're gonna get that in a
you're
little
fine,
bit.
you're fine. I was laughing.
We're going to get NASCAR.
What
in just
time's
a
the
little
race
bit.
now? You guys lied to me, by the way.
What?
I just
What are you
want to
talking
know. You guys lied to me because I was umpiring baseball Sunday. I get excited. I was like, all right, I'm walking off the field at 6 o'clock. I'm going to turn on the radio, catch the race. The race was at 3 o'clock. You guys all told me, JP in there told me it was at 6 o'clock.
You
guys lied to me.
I wasn't here Saturday,
You weren't
so I
here.
didn't lie
I
to
didn't read the
nobody.
sheet.
I didn't read the
did.
sheet of
I didn't
paper.
lie to nobody.
Somebody lied to me, but I was very upset because I said, well, I got
Somebody
something to
lied.
do on the way home.
Well,
Listen
no,
to the
you
race.
don't.
Well,
But
You
then I
got to
did.
think about all the bad calls you made, Tom.
I know. Just reflect on
Reflect.
my practice.
Reflect.
all right. So what's funny about all this, and someone said, is that you guys were talking about the games you're going to play, and
The proposal to get baseball back.
the proposal that started all this, if y'all remember,
Is the revenue 50-50
was
split?
no, they never agreed to that.
it was like 82
It was
games.
82 games, prorated salaries.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, one of them is at 89 games, the other one's at 76. Guess where we're going to be at? 82
right.
prorated salaries. They're going to waste a whole month to get back to where we were from the start, and that's
Just
where
think.
that's where
Baseball could have been the first ball sport back, but instead they're going to let the MLS do it.
Yeah. I did watch some South Korean baseball. You guys watched any of that?
Does it still come on at
I think
like
you might
2
have mentioned it
a.m.?
last week. Possibly mentioned. I have not seen any.
I was just turning on. I was going to watch Sports Center to see what the yo-yos were saying. But then it's like, what is this? This is South Korean baseball. Is this a rerun? So no, it's live. You know, it's not bad.
What time
Do you
is
like
it?
them
though?
putting the cartoon characters in the
Stands.
seats?
Yeah, SpongeBob was
Yeah,
behind somebody the other day.
And
I saw that.
did you see Homer?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Homer the Dragon on Monday's show about if the Knights or whatever, if Charlotte was to somehow get a team in Charlotte, they could somehow name them the Dragons and just keep Homer. But he was actually in the front row of one of the Korean baseball games. They had his little cutout sitting there.
I felt
in the front row.
I was watching. I felt the strike zone was just as kind of tight, and they weren't throwing it. They weren't a lot of high pitches to see if they were calling a high pitch because I've noticed in Major League Baseball that umpires are raising that strike zone. They're
Well,
calling
Tom,
high.
the umpires probably aren't that tall.
Oh, okay. We're gonna be insensitive.
In
We're
Korea.
gonna be insensitive.
It's just a joke. God Almighty, don't get butt hurt, people.
But they are just judging that based on where the batter's belly button is. I'm telling you, the Major League umpires they're calling higher in college and in high school umpires, which I like.
I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never understood why. I would rather you go high-low as opposed to outside because I can't hit it outside. If I can't reach it,
That kid I told you about,
I would hit him all day at my chest.
that kid in that Christian school game, that little big left-hander going to Virginia Tech. Both those pitches were about his navel
Right.
that he hit one. I don't think.
Isn't it
one-
weird? Like, coach, like, or you're taught to pitch low, but there's no strikes on high to hit it. If don't
Right.
throw it high,
Yeah.
because they'll hit it.
If I'm not mistaken,
Then why is that not a strike if they're going to hit
Right,
it?
Yeah, I know.
And I don't know about you guys, but I never wanted to hit a pitch that was up.
That's
above
my power alley.
above my chest. I'm talking about above my
Right,
chest.
my power alley is
How
right at
far
my
you wanna
nipples.
go?
If
If
it's
if I'm
in there,
not
gonna hit it hard.
mistaken,
You don't go that
the-
high. I mean, I'm talking like navel, not even that high. Yeah, navel, mid abdomen. I think is
I
a
think
good
the
place to
Major
call
League
it.
Baseball player associations too, when they countered back with it was an 89 game season because the owners wanted to do was like 70-something games, 75% prorated pay. Well, the players came back and said they wanted to be an 89-game season, full pay, and then they also wanted to have it set up to where money was put to the minor league systems of somehow, just for the season, they were going to at least get some sort of pay, and then some of the money also go to fight racial injustice. Yeah. So somehow I think when they get to this meeting point, they're going to still obviously probably want the money to go to some sort of organization fighting racial injustice, but I think they're also going to be pushing hard to have the minor league players get some sort of pay so that they don't just go a full season and almost into an off season without anything.
Right.
But if they do come back and agree on an 82-game prorated season, this will be the biggest waste of shit I've ever seen a major league sport do. Seriously, it was so easy to just go ahead and decide on it now, and you could have been playing this whole month of May going into June.
Were they going to be able to play now if they'd have reached a settlement, do you think?
Right now? No, because even if they weren't playing in May, you would have your spring trainings or whatever that the players needed, and you could you could have picked up June 1st.
I was wondering if they're going to drag their feet like basketball's doing. Basketball's not starting till the end of July.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's stupid.
I thought
Major League Soccer teams started practicing the middle and end of last week, and the final team to get on the field was Tuesday. Guess when they start? July 8th.
Yeah.
So as soon as they're the first ball team, because NHL has not decided when, they're still not puck, but they haven't decided when they're starting their playoffs yet. So that's the first ball team league that is set in stone. We're coming back July 8th. And they're modeling it how they're coming back. It's modeled the same way the NBA is really going to do. They're playing a MLS welcome back tournament, World Cup style in Florida, in Miami. So the MLS just said, look, we're going to do it. Whereas the NBA, they're dragging their feet out. Players have got to get back in shape. Okay, soccer players run just as much as NBA players. They have to get back in shape too.
Show me an NBA player that doesn't have a full gym in his house.
Well, probably not the younger ones that.
Yeah,
live
but
in
they
apartments.
know somebody.
Yeah, now look, I agree with that.
Was it Trey Young was shooting on some Walmart basketball goal during the horse contest in Brook Forge?
Yeah, but he still gets to get his shots up. I don't know, just and I think that's a good move, obviously, by the MLS just to push and say they're coming back, because the MLS, they see something that Major League Baseball and the NBA really don't see, and that's that football's coming. And if the MLS can go ahead and get started in July, first of all, it's going to pull in some new fans. It really is, because besides NASCAR being raced, it's starting to push back towards it being more of a Sunday race. So they'll have Sundays, maybe Saturdays and Sundays dominated.
They're racing tonight, too.
They are racing tonight. But after this, I think it's going more back to the weekend schedules. The MLS sees this is their opportunity to reach out and have more fans. And airtime, they'll be the only ones on television. Baseball is piddling around waiting to start up, it seems like. Same with basketball. Basketball is going to try and run against the NFL in college football. I'm sorry, you're not winning that battle. We haven't even heard if college basketball is going to come back either. So I don't know if college basketball will be coming back. So if
why would it not?
I know why would it not,
yeah.
but even then, if it does come back, that's another thing trying to steal eyes and ears away from baseball that already struggles to pull a kind of crowd to watch it anyway. So to me, what I enjoyed mostly about it, for what the MLS did, is it's not just because I love soccer and I played it, it's because this is what the MLB should have done from the beginning and what the NBA should have done from the beginning. We're going to give you at least 2 to 3 weeks. Well, technically, it's almost a full month before the MLS is going to start. It's about 2 days. They said it was July 8th, but teams are already practicing. So they said in a month, we're kicking it off. The NBA, you decided that you were getting ready to come back towards the end of May. You should start up June 21st, June 22nd, not 2 months later at the end of July. Pushing up when training camp's starting for football and everybody's getting ready for when the South, the SEC's getting ready to start up too. That's another beast you got to fight, because they're going to draw all their crowds. I'm telling you, whoever is in charge of Major League Baseball when it comes to just trying to get stuff started and the NBA's scheduling, they're idiots if they think they can compete with the NFL. They really are.
Did you see the Cardinals owners' comments on the situation? Oh goodness!
And I'm not just pushing it because I love the NFL and I think it's the greatest thing ever. No. The statistics show you.
You're right.
The numbers show you that NFL is king. It is.
They were breaking down. There'd be some big games
Mm-hmm.
in the NFL going on when the playoffs were scheduled for NBA, and that's when you were saying that they got to have Zion or LeBron in to be able to compete. That's sad that you would have to have that, but it might be true.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Bill DeWitt is the Cardinals owner. He bought the team for $150 million.
I got that.
I
got that. I'm gonna buy it.
$1 million. They're the team's estimated worth now
$2 billion.
$2.2 billion.
That's pretty good.
That's
Pretty good.
I think that's a
turnaround
good
on that.
ROI.
They have made in the last 9 years $410 million, averaging around about $45 million a year. So, and he just bought himself an $8 million home in California, somewhere like the rest of them do.
But he owns the
St. Louis Cardinals.
and he bought a house in California.
Yeah. So,
Happens to the best of us.
his comments were that the baseball is not a profitable. Owning a baseball team is not a profitable endeavor. Is basically what he was
He's
saying.
probably saying he can make more money doing something else, which is probably true.
He makes $45 million a year.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I'll say this.
how much did Jeff Bezos make last year?
Well, that's true. Too.
I'll say
Yeah.
this: baseball is probably not the most profitable sports industry to own.
No,
like
it's
team to
probably
own.
not.
I'll say
Well,
this.
this real quick, Zach. This is kind of this is probably what he's saying and what he would mean. The team made $45 million last year
Profit.
right? How much did he spend on players?
Yeah, that's what
That's what the owners
say.
are going to say is that we spent more on players than we got in profit.
Right.
That's what they'll say.
Yeah.
That's their.
But
There's
Yeah,
somebody
but
on
that's
the
what
team
happens.
making more than that.
Mike
That's what
Trout made
happens.
more than the team.
Right.
Mike
Yeah.
Trout's going to make this year more than the whole
400
team
million.
made.
yeah.
And think about it. That's what happens when you don't want to implement a salary cap.
Oh, the owners do.
Oh, I know the owners do. And that's what drives me so crazy. I know you think you have some of the best baseball players in the world, and you probably do because they come from all over. And if they don't want to agree on a salary cap, then do you really need them, though? Because you can find just
Where are they
as good
gonna
of
go?
talent. Yeah, where are they going
Are
to
they
go?
gonna-
Are they going to go play overseas? They won't make nearly
yeah.
amount as much.
Yeah,
They won't
as
make
much-
nearly
much
as amount of money that they can
could.
make here. Even with a salary cap, they would still probably make more money here than if they would go overseas. And just because Mike Trout leaves or Bryce Harper leaves and all these big names, we'll find other stars.
But I'll tell
Someone
I'll tell
else
you
will
this,
come out.
But Hunter, whoever votes to lower their own salary,
Right.
no, exactly,
It ain't gonna happen.
And
No,
I
it never
understand.
will.
I understand what you're saying, but I just don't think.
No, I'm
it's-
not saying that the
yeah.
players, but I'm saying
Yeah.
the owners don't have
take
to
a stance.
necessarily listen to the players.
And you was talking
If they
about
cut out the MLBPA,
If they shut this league down over that again,
that's you're going
you
exactly where I was
might.
going.
Yeah,
to.
you might. Go ahead. Go
Go.
ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, that's where I was going to ask you guys because you're too young for this. But when they did the strike, now remind me of the strike year. It was in the 90s.
94.
It was not.
Something
I was thinking
happened?
93.
Frickin'
I was
Indians
thinking 93.
maybe won the series. Yeah.
And we was
something
talking about-
happened
we was
before
talking
I was
about-
born. What?
We was talking about
A lot happened
popularity.
before you were
We're talking about popularity, though. If you guys remember, that's when I watched baseball of all my life the most was right before that strike. If you remember coming up to that, then they had the strike, and they lost a lot of fans. Made a lot of people mad.
Montreal lost a team.
They did.
The fans said "F you" because they had Guerrero and Pedro Martinez.
Martinez.
Right,
They might have Denny Martinez, all
Yeah, I
those
mean
guys
they had a stacked team.
Yeah.
And it could have been the Indians and the Expos in the World Series.
Yeah, and
their
you're
fans
sitting here
never came
thinking,
back.
you're sitting here thinking, in my mind, I'm remembering it died off a lot because they made a lot of people mad, and then you turn around and they tried to push it back up and they had the big home run race, so it kind of got a little bit more popular in 98, 97. I think it's when it was with Sosa and McGuire, and I think they're going to do an ESPN thing on that.
We
So,
talked about that Monday without you guys in here a little bit. We'll kind of
the home run
get
thing.
on it a little bit about. Well, I was discussing about how McGuire didn't get MVP that year with 70 homers and 150 RBIs, basically.
Yeah, and what Sosa end up with 63, something in that
66,
range.
I think, is what it was. And I'll go look them up here and get them off the board here in a second.
Yeah,
But
they also had Moises Alou on that team.
But
too.
they
were
lost.
stacked.
I mean, that hurt MLB, and they said it was going to hurt MLB, and I didn't think it was going to hurt them that much. And I haven't started watching MLB again until the last 2 years.
Yeah.
After I did watch a little bit of the home run race, I can remember me and my wife just got married.
That would be about all I would really
and
watch.
we was watching, hitting them over the ball, hitting them over the wall, both of them back and forth, because it was, this is a hallowed record they was going after, and I can remember doing that, and then I just kind of dwindled off, and I started picking back up with this new Braves team.
I think that's what's really hurt baseball as well, though. Is it's not exciting. There's not the battle between.
They've tried with a pitch clock and some other things.
Yeah, it's just not exciting.
I'm a small ball guy, so that doesn't. I want to watch them move. Me and Tom's mentioned this together.
One guy-
I like pitching, but I like seeing home runs too. The most enjoyable time was when I got to see the tail end of Barry Bonds. Because he was still out there absolutely smacking the hell out of the ball. And now we haven't really had anybody since.
Make the plate 14 inches wide instead of 17. Make them throw it down the middle.
Yeah,
basically,
and you talking about that, and I was going to mention a minute ago, we was talking about, Kevin was saying, pitches off, he was talking about the pitches off the plate in the strike zone.
Right.
And that throws into play something that me and him like to talk about. I like to watch sizes of bats that different players use. Like, Bonds is coming up. He looks like he's got
Toothpick.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Toothpick. And then you got Vlad.
But didn't help he was also
and he's
like
got a bat
50
that's going over the
pounds
umpire's
jacked.
head, so, and I like to watch that too. And you talking about Barry Bonds, he had the little bat and he choked up.
Yeah.
But you talking about skill with different things.
See, but Barry Bonds did not want to hit an outside pitch. Barry Bonds
wanted that, yeah.
He would hit balls out of the park. It looked like we were going to hit it.
Yeah.
It
he
looked
liked
like
that
he was
inside. He would take it to.
That's what probably most of his power was.
He would put it in the water.
Kept it close to himself. Didn't have to extend his arm.
Yes.
But that's just smart hitting, though. He was always a smart hitter.
And we've talked about Barry before in here. And Kevin.
Well, they
Kevin
allowed
hit
him to
around
dress
the
like RoboCop and stand up half an inch from the plate, too,
Did it?
Tom.
Yeah.
Was it him that got thrown out for redrawing the batter's box one time?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
Check that out.
There was like one where he where the players dig in in the batter's box, and the umpire came with his
I don't know
foot
if it
and
was
drew.
that,
Yeah, I can't remember who that
problem,
was.
Just the problem I have with baseball is there is no exciting narrative to baseball anymore. There really isn't. Unless it's your own team.
I don't know.
What's the most relevant thing that was really exciting in baseball besides the Astros getting caught cheating? It was with the Chicago Cubs finally going out and winning a World Series. But now that they've won one, who cares? The Astros were even one of the other teams that hadn't won a World Series, and even though they did it technically cheating, guess what? They won the World. They still didn't strip them from their World Series win.
I mean, they get excited about a player going 1 for 3 with a walk. That's
They talk about
helped us
Mike
more
Trout.
tonight, boys.
They talk about Mike Trout, but even then, there's no. It never seems like Mike Trout is battling against anybody. That like how they're getting ready to show Sosa and McGuire battling out, back and forth for the record. There's nothing anymore. It's just. It's not even to get exciting when a team hits 100 wins.
So I got some numbers
It's just,
on Sosa and
of course, unless it's your own team. But other than that, like league-wide, nobody really cares.
got some numbers on Sosa and McGuire's season between each other.
That's this Sunday, isn't it?
Head to head, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like, 9 o'clock? Something like that.
So,
late at night.
I missed the Bruce Lee.
Home run distance.
I do too.
All right, so McGuire hit 70, Sosa 66. 21 of McGuire's 70 home runs went 450 feet or more. I mean, the biggest Major League Stadium right now is like 405, 410. That's in dead center. 21 homers of over 450 feet. He had 5 over 500 feet, including a 545-foot monster.
He was juiced.
Sosa only had 8 homers over 455 or 450 feet, and only one 500-foot homer, and it went exactly 500 feet on the dot. I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, I was wondering.
All right, at bats versus home runs, Sosa had 140 more at bats than McGuire did that year, and hit 4 less home runs.
Does it have walks?
I'm getting all that.
Okay.
Well, we'll go ahead and give you 2 walks for you Trout fans. You're going to love this one. How about McGuire? 162 walks. Sosa, 73. That's how much more people were walking McGuire than Sosa. Because I mean, think about it. He had 143 less at bats, which is basically his walks. He had 70 less at walks. So there you go, right there. There's half of your at bats that just pitching around him.
The pitchers probably intimidated when they saw him like in the on deck circle,
knocking at 600 feet.
Right there in the on deck circle.
Well,
Sitting in the on deck circle, getting ready to gain another 6 pounds.
He could have Incredible Hulk that shirt, man.
Oh, he could.
Bruce
he was
Banner.
huge.
Bruce Bannered it.
Oh my
Mark
gosh.
McGuire had more doubles than Sammy Sosa and 140 less at bats. Sosa, however, had 40 more hits than McGuire. Sosa had 11 more RBIs than McGuire. Sosa also had 16 more strikeouts than McGuire. On base plus slugging, since we like to add those up together, Hunter. Sosa was 1.1 something, so McGuire was 1.2. So McGuire right in front of him.
That's a really good number.
Oh yeah, wow.
I kind of
shit.
I kind of lost respect for McGuire when he cried in front of Congress.
Sosa 308 batting average. McGuire,
Did you lose respect for Kurt Schilling when he lied?
McGuire 299. McGuire's issue was, again, we talked on Monday, and same with Bonds, is that none of the things that none of them ever did was illegal.
Yeah.
As opposed to the rules of baseball while they were doing it. They got on McGuire about the Andros something another Destein, whatever it is.
It's in his locker.
That was not against the rules until like 2 years later when they redid the agreements. So anything and everything that they were doing, and then when they brought him up, you're talking about in the court, Sammy Sosa pretended he didn't speak English.
I remember
in
that.
court, and then McGuire didn't want to talk. He didn't want to be involved with it because okay, as far as the reporters are concerned, those two are way nicer reporters than Bonds was about any of it. Okay, the reporters and everybody then also thought those two, especially McGuire, was doing it. He was already a big dude. He was having trouble, if you'll remember, getting hurt with the A's and being out 40 games. So he was taking it and lifting weights and exercising, rebuilding his muscles back up. I think from everything I've read and he said is that he wasn't doing it to break records. He was doing it to play baseball. I think we all think Barry Bonds did it to break the records because he thought he was better players than those two, and those two got a lot of credit. I think if Griffey would have been the one to do it, there would have been less.
See, Griffey's my all-time favorite.
Bonds might have not even did what he did, but there would have been less. Like I said, I don't think McGuire was out there doing it saying, "Hey, I'm going to break the home run record." I think he was doing it. Hey, I'm going to hit a bunch of home runs. We're going to play some baseball.
And I think we talked about this before. Griffey's definitely my all-time favorite player, and the trajectory of him and Bonds, they come out I think the same year.
No, Bonds is older.
Bonds is a little bit older. They were coming up together, and Bonds was really small, if you remember.
Yeah, he was when it was with the Pirates.
Yeah, Kevin was mentioning this. He was hitting a lot of doubles, and when he started putting that in his body, man, them doubles went to home runs, and that's what made him go over the fence. But it was just a lot of his home run that beat Hank Aaron. It just barely just lopped over the fence.
And I think the reason why Kevin says what he does is because Mark McGuire was a lot nicer guy.
Yeah,
than Barry Bonds.
Yeah, he was a jerk.
Yeah, I think that's
everybody
what
liked Sosa too.
Yes.
But then him, as soon as he went in front of court, I do not speak no English.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
Yeah,
and we
remember.
spent 5 years of him going, baseball has been very, very good to me in every interview he ever had, and now he's up there doing this.
But when you say they weren't doing anything against baseball rules, but see, steroids are illegal.
Yeah,
certain ones. The Android thing wasn't. He bought that at GNC.
Yeah, I know. But
the ones what he was doing with Canseco, I would say probably Tom.
I was going to bring up the Canseco thing because I've got Canseco's book. I don't even remember what it's titled now, but it is great reading if you ever want to read it. But he said I can remember going into the bathroom stall and injecting in his butt.
But he doesn't care.
No, he don't. I mean, you can't believe. You don't just believe half of what he said.
But what do you say about
the
the pitchers that were doing?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got both coming from both sides.
Well, why? And for someone who we watched in that era, and you guys remember, nowadays every pitcher throws 95 and above. Are you telling me that just all of a sudden everyone in America got really good at throwing over 95 miles per hour?
Training has changed. Technique has changed. The game evolves.
Yeah,
I think they've juiced these balls up.
Well, the spin rate on that has been. You just talking about Griffey, Zach. We talked a little bit about him going up into it. About McGuire didn't even know who Sammy Sosa was until he hit 20 homers that year. in his division
That's what
against him.
That's what he said.
McGuire said, "I didn't even know who Sammy Sosa
That's
was
what
until he
he
hit
s-
20
I
because it
don't
was
know if I
between him.
believe that.
It was between him and Ken Griffey Jr. The year before.
Yeah.
Griffey hit 56
Yeah,
homers the year
Griffey
before.
was on a really good trajectory, and then he got the injury, but he was still good. He got the injury bug. He was popping 30 over, but he was hitting 60, 50, 60, and he had great swing.
I'll tell you what you need to look if Ken Griffey Jr. is your favorite player,
Yeah.
Zach. Yesterday they did a top 10 Ken Griffey Jr. plays. Did you see that?
No, I did not. I'll
And,
check that out.
and number one was
The fin-
his daddy hit a home run. Then he hit a home
He
run.
backed it up. Yeah, I
Right,
remember
right,
that.
right. So you need to
I remember that.
YouTube the top 10. The one they had the one where he ran up the wall and caught
Yep.
it and all that. And then they had some of his home run derby highlights and things.
Yeah.
You need to watch that. If
Hat
you're a
on
crazy,
backwards.
Yeah. You
He's
need-
great.
you need to watch
He had.
that.
There's only one other person I'd even put in the swing category with him, and I mean just the perfect swing.
Left-handed swing. Just
Great.
I tell you what, I'll always say who had the prettiest swing might have been Will Clark. Had the prettiest left-handed. He did. But
Yeah.
when I watched Ken Griffey Jr. stay, I said that's a good-looking
It
left-handed
is.
swing.
And Ted
This
Williams.
is pretty. Yeah, this is a pretty
that's
left-handed
old.
swing. Yeah.
We talked Monday with Robbie too about so Trout and the guys MVP, the numbers being different. I just told you how, and you guys may remember or not, but it used to be to win MVP you had to make the playoffs. That used to be the general rule.
Yeah.
Like you're not
It's like a prerequisite.
Pujols and McGuire
Yeah.
both missed MVPs to Bonds and other guys, Sosa, because they missed the playoffs. Now Trout misses the playoffs every year, and he's in the MVP vote. So when did that change? Why does that not matter anymore?
See that I agree with you.
And then
I absolutely agree.
Because if you're the most valuable player, you can't make your team make the playoffs. You're not that valuable.
I agree.
So
Right?
So for example, let's say Trout last year. Here's his MVP numbers real quick. His MVP numbers for Trout: 45 home runs, had 100. I think 110 RBIs was one of his career highs in RBIs. 104 was his 104. So he had 45 homers, 104, batted .291. McGuire, while breaking the home run record and setting it at 70, did not get MVP. He hit .299 better than Trout did batting average and more RBIs. So how about let me read you one of these. In 1997, Mark McGuire batted .274, 58 home runs, 123 RBIs. MVP votes, 16th. 58 home runs, he had 16th in MVP votes. How about with this? Let's see. His second year, how about Bonds? Here's the number on Bonds and McGuire when we were talking about the steroid thing. The year besides 70 that Bonds hit, his best year ever was 49. The year after he hit 70. McGuire hit 49 his second
Oh yeah, he was
his rookie
the
year.
And
him and
86,
Canseco, they
and
were-
1987.
Oh, it was
He had-
86. He hit.
He was drafted in
Yeah.
86. He
Yeah.
had 3 home runs. In 87
And
was his
80s.
rookie year.
Okay.
and he was small when he came out.
tall and skinny.
He was drafted as a pitcher from USC, actually. He was a pitcher.
Yeah, I remember that.
49 home runs, 118 RBIs, 289. That's his rookie year. That's the same thing pretty much as Trout is across the board. MVP 6.
You see, but I would also say this in saying why maybe somebody like Trout. I guarantee it. I don't have all the analytics, but if your team is not as good,
Yeah.
they're going to pitch to him because you're usually behind. So what do they care, right? But if you're on a better team, they may pitch around
How
you.
about the
or
year
something like
after Tom? He hit 70. McGuire hit 65. 147 RBIs, the exact same number. MVP 5th.
Yeah. I guess
He hit 70 and 65 home runs, and his MVPs were second
Yeah.
and 5th.
I guess what I'm trying to say, if you're losing more games, they're not really as worried about you as if you're the games are tighter.
Back in the day, it was if you made the playoffs, that's the only way to get in.
Playing a more meaningful game
Right.
if your team is good.
If you're out here losing, they didn't care. People just
Right.
it didn't matter.
Right.
We talked about Canseco's 40 home run, 40 steal season.
Yep,
There's that.
he's at 40-40.
All right, Hunter. Looking forward to this season if we do get to play.
They'll play. They'll play.
I don't know.
They'll play.
are we? Do we have any favorites right now as far as National League World Series? Like, are we going to get there?
I'm sticking with my hometown Braves.
The Braves, they'll have an opportunity. It just depends on how the format is.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in this the latest counter offer that the Players Association had, they also wanted an extended playoffs. So to me, just going to depend how the playoff process works. And then it has been such a long layoff. Teams just trying to get back in shape. I think it's going to same when it comes with the basketball thing. The veterans are going to know what to do during this time
Cardinals
off.
still be good.
So
The Dodgers will still be good.
Yeah, Dodgers will still be good.
As long as Johnny Emmeline is on the roster, we're fine.
I
We'll
hate to admit
compete.
it, but I could see the Dodgers making the World Series. I don't like the Dodgers at all, but
I could see
them.
I could see
making the World
the Red Sox bouncing back. They underachieved last year.
Series. They lost.
Well, Angels probably won't be in it again.
Red Sox had a terrible start.
Yeah,
And they
What
lost
was
Mookie
last year.
Betts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Angels. I don't know, Zach. Yeah. I mean, if you got the greatest baseball player ever, you should make it.
I don't know if
every
you're gonna,
year.
National League. I'll just throw out there, Dodgers.
And then, like I said, you know how they set them up. Who you play against?
You're right, Max.
American
says
League.
Zach.
Sorry,
I,
sorry about that.
I could see the Twins just bashing their way to the World Series.
The American League. I'm
You know,
gonna
because they
take.
got so many and they added more in the offseason.
Wouldn't it be crazy if the
Houston
American
can
League
cheat their way.
I was about to say, wouldn't it be amazing if, without cheating, Houston made a World Series? That would basically shut everybody up.
Yeah. They're not.
No, they won't. No.
They might not have any players because every one of them's going to get
This
plunked in
is
the
going to be
head.
worse.
Oh.
This is going to be worst
gonna
case
be.
scenario for me. But World Series, looking at it, Yankees Dodgers, and I'm
hope
going to
the
hate
Yankees
every
ain't
second
in it.
of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to hate every second of it
The
because
Yankees,
I
they-
can't
they-
stand either team.
They-
But the
they-
Yankees were already good,
They have a tough
and they
lineup,
just
yeah.
added Garrett Cole.
The World Series I like to watch is anyone that doesn't involve a New York, L.A., or Boston team.
You're right.
And
Good
then,
luck.
they'll get, and then the people will get on the networks on TV and bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, will anybody be watching the Cardinals and
Yeah.
the Rock or whoever
Yes.
they're playing?
Yes.
Arizona
Yes.
Diamondbacks with Randy
Everyone
Johnson on
besides
the
you
mound.
uppity fools up there in New York.
Yeah.
We argue.
But
about
if we're just going off of, teams that have been there in the playoffs, they're going to know how to take this time. And if the playoffs are extended, I think it could just help them either way because somebody will probably get a bye. And I can see the Dodgers locking up a 1 seed in the National League and the Yankees locking up a 1 seed in the American League. And it'll just be a cakewalk from there. And especially with the Yankees adding Garrett Cole. I think that was I know it was a big signing, but it was an underrated
I think,
signing.
I just don't.
Go
I
ahead.
really don't like them playing baseball in the cold. I really don't like it.
I think it would be.
But they were
the same-
playing. They're
it's not
playing
the
everything in
same-
Florida, right?
No.
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 They
Couple
changed
different
that.
areas.
Home
no,
home
yeah,
stadiums.
it's just home stadiums. It church travel still.
Baseball's not doing the NBA.
No.
Okay, so that's just
I
the
think they're
NBA.
going to be. They're still
Okay.
going to be regional. They're going to put them together regional, and then just kind of go. Or they change
Right
that
now,
up too.
it's just play baseball.
Okay, because
Right,
originally
they
they
can't-
had
well,
talked
they
about
can't agree
making
to
it
anything.
regional.
Because that's what they were going to do originally, weren't they? Just going to have like the Grapefruit
Yeah.
League and,
Yeah. Right.
and all that. They were going to have one league in Arizona, one
I
league
think
in
that
Florida.
was when they thought the
But they've thrown that out. They're not doing
Corona was worse than
Okay.
maybe than it's turned out to be.
it. No, I think everybody's figured that out.
Yes. So that's the deal. Breaking news, real quick. Speaking of that, Zach, this is to your football team, and folks, this was part of what's weird, kind of big. The Panthers are removing the Jerry Richardson statue at Bank of America Stadium,
Not surprised.
not because of
Some of his,
past or
controversies.
controversy, but it is because of that. They're scared that folks in Charlotte are going to
Tear it up.
tear it down. So the Panthers are in the process. They're going to remove the statue just in case
Yeah.
any of protesting or rioting in Charlotte ends up at Bank of America Stadium. So, Tom, I don't know if you missed it, but in the sale of the Panthers, they actually wrote in the sale that
Cannot
they had
remove
to
it.
leave the Jerry Richardson statue out there at Bank of America Stadium, and they just announced today, because they're worried about protests and riots and stuff, that they're going to move the Jerry Richardson Stadium to another location. It's not saying where, what, or when. It's just going to an undisclosed.
Probably put it down in South Carolina at their new facility.
Why don't they just take it to Jerry's house and give it to him? That's what he wanted anyway. I mean, that's
Well,
his,
the big
that's
controversy
his
with him was
statue.
sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Well,
not
he was racist too.
Yeah,
Definitely
Trying
Raiders.
to, trying to
It
remember.
was both.
Okay,
It was both.
well, okay.
With
Jerry Richardson's also got his statue out in front of UNC Charlotte's football stadium.
He bought that. He paid for that one.
Yeah.
Let me reword that. The North Carolina taxpayers paid for that one. He asked for $110 million in stadium upgrades for what he said was escalators. Well, I did the math on it. The most expensive escalator being about $150,000 ended up being he could have bought 75 escalators in that stadium. Have you seen 75 escalators in that stadium?
I barely find one.
I don't know if he bought one escalator with that $110 million, but he did donate $10
talking
million.
about Panther Stadium?
Yeah, and then he did donate $10 million about 3 weeks after that to UNCC to name the stadium after himself. So after receiving $100 million in taxpayer money, he gave it to UNCC to name it after himself.
I ain't never seen that.
Here's
escalator
what's
in that thing.
amazing. Here's what's amazing to me: that a billionaire can get $110 million, but somebody running a convenience store or a hairdresser salon who was shut down can't get it done.
Hey, I just talked to the guy right uptown. I like
That's
to go
amazing.
I like to go uptown here to the. I don't know if any of you guys ever been, but he's got a little. It's like an '80s, '90s toy store. You know, it's a memorabilia store.
Talking about the pie record?
No,
or
this
another
is
guy?
the one.
I haven't been to
This
those
is the
guys
one in between where McGinnis Furniture is, and then the next set of stuff.
Okay. I
And
haven't been there
he said he couldn't receive anything. He's just been out. So sadly.
Yeah, my brother's girlfriend's a hairstylist, denied repeatedly
Yep.
for unemployment.
he
benefits.
actually got hung up on.
But a billionaire can get $110 million.
One
That's
thing I
crazy.
did want to bring up before we get
It's-
off the
it's crazy.
Major League Baseball thing, I know we got to get to racing, was you were talking about popularity. And I really think, and this is just a personal opinion, that if they did do the salary cap, it would help their popularity out because your other teams would kind of
It would be more balanced.
Yeah, yep.
That's what makes the NFL exciting. Is
Think
there
so,
is a
too.
lot of parity. Now, right now the Chiefs are on top, but when Mahomes gets
Yeah.
his money, that's over for
You're
the Chiefs.
you're exactly right.
It's over for the Chiefs. So
for the Pujols
I mean-
situation, let me explain what happened there. Is that the Cardinals offered him 10 years, $300 million. The Angels offered him 10 years, $330 million. And Pujols' wife said the Cardinals' offer was insulting. We offered your husband 10 years, $300 million.
And the other was
team
330.
only makes $40 million a year. And she said, so basically they gave him $30 million more is what they look at it, but it's $3 million a season. So basically the Cardinal the problem Cardinals fans have with Pujols,
team for all them years.
right? He basically decided he took the money.
Yeah.
I want that $3 million more a year is more important to them
Than winning.
than winning and playing baseball and being. Think about if he's a Cardinal this
That's
whole time.
that's
He
what I
would
was
be
gonna say.
worshipped
Yep.
as a St. Louis
I
Cardinal.
agree.
Now, now he'll be. You can't deny his greatness.
Yep.
He'll be on the hall. He'll be the top 4 Mount Rushmore of Cardinals. But
He could have
like
been
you
one.
just said, he could have been one. Now people will say, "Stan the man."
Him and Bob Gibson,
Stan
Stan
Man
Musial.
one, Musial two,
Here-
Oh, my
Gibson two.
goodness.
Here's what I keep asking: how much money do you need, man?
I know. And then
I mean,
what do
this
you
is
want?
something-
And what is your legacy worth to you? You play for one team the whole time.
What
People
can
look at that.
Bezos buy today that he couldn't buy yesterday with the billions of dollars that he made today? Right? Like what can you buy?
and the
at
zero.
what point do you just I can't buy no more? And that's what I want to know about. Like when I ask about Coach K and Roy, like why are you coaching 70 or 75?
Maybe you just want to be in LA. I don't know.
making all that money. You know, like you said, at what point
People
are you not happy? Are you
people
not
make
happy? Ever
decisions
happy?
as if they're going to live forever.
That is a good one.
You know,
That is a very good
and the Romans had a phrase: "Memento mori," remember you will die. You know, there's a part of your life where you're going to. How much freaking money do you need, really?
Right.
Until you just enjoy what you have. Doesn't make any sense. I guess it just you get addicted to it. The only thing I can say. Why is Krzyzewski still coaching basketball?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if it'll be much
Ain't
longer.
nobody catching
but-
that record. Yes, straight.
Hunter,
I don't know if it'll be for much
Oh,
longer.
man. Because yeah.
That's an excellent
Have
point.
y'all
Yeah,
even
it's
mentioned that at all? Like
We talked
we
about it.
touched on it a little bit Monday.
where he has got to testify.
I tell you,
Ugh.
I'd never heard so much delight in the voice of Calvin Hastings when he showed me that on the computer because he said, "Come in here, look at this,
Yeah,
look at
that's
this."
bad.
You can't get him to admit or say he hates about anything in this world,
Except Duke.
but he hates Duke
Duke.
basketball.
He does.
I don't know if he hates Duke as much as he hates K. I think it's a K.
I hate Coach Krzyzewski too because he's a fraud.
Do y'all, I mean, can you actually?
That's an Ohio State fan. Folks. Not even a Tar Heel.
He's a fraud in the fact that he tries to act like he's some kind of moral character building,
and you ever watched
he is
him?
not.
Have you ever seen him?
not.
Have you ever seen him? His mouth at the games.
It's terrible.
You could read. Yeah,
he is
horrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets he was
Demeanor.
he went to West Point, Army.
And he played under Coach Knight.
How in
His arm.
under God's green earth did we get them to come play in our stadium?
Who?
Nixon Gym. How did we do that?
Get who?
The Duke Blue Devils. They came with Grant Hill. They came and played at Nixon Gym.
An exhibition.
Do you remember that?
I do not.
How did we pull that?
I don't even remember that.
They came and played at Nixon Gym. How did we pull it off? Grant Hill and Leitner and Hurley and all of them.
Well, Nixon's not that much smaller than Cameron.
No, but I'm saying, like, how did you pull that off? But anyway, somebody must have went to Duke.
That's a great question.
Played in Cherville High School.
Was that a Tommy White? That wasn't an Alex Blackwater thing, was it?
Could have been
when he had cancer.
It could have been. Yeah, you might be right.
It might have been. That might have been what that
sounds
was.
about right.
Because he Coach K and them came and visited him in the hospital.
You might be right.
And talked to him. That was about that time.
Yep.
So that may have been that, or we might even just be totally wrong.
No, you might be right.
That would be my best guess.
Yeah, mine too.
The only thing
I didn't even put those together.
All right. Let's see. NBA, like Hunter, you talked a little bit earlier. They're going to start back July 31st. Monday, we went with some of our predictions of what we thought. Really, me and Hunter feeling the Clippers. Terry, of course, on the Celtics. East, I really don't feel confident in anybody, to tell you the truth.
Sixers are all over the place.
Terry says the
Toronto's.
Celtics will have no problem with the Sixers, so write that down for Terry. But
see, but
Kemba Walker,
I'm just telling you, the Sixers if the Sixers ever got it together,
they got to choose one or the other.
Right?
You got to choose Joel Embiid, or you have to choose Ben Simmons.
You're probably right. But if you could get those guys to get along and play nice,
where they messed up was whenever they lost one of their 3-point shooters and brought in Al Horford. You know why?
Yeah, they brought him in from Boston. Yeah,
Joel Embiid is a back-to-the-basket center.
Just trying to shoot
Al
threes.
Horford, he tries to shoot threes.
Like
shoot him
everybody
a little bit.
else.
He can
Like
shoot him a little bit. That's what I hate about this NBA, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
And then you have Al Horford, who's another big man that sits down in the lane. He's not one of those stretch fours that just sits out there on the three-point line. And Ben Simmons don't got a jump shot still. So he has to get to the lane as well. So that that is just clogged up in the lane.
He can really attack the basket, though.
Oh, no, I will say this. Yeah. Ben Simmons' play style, I will never say he's the same caliber, but play style is young LeBron James.
Yeah.
It's young LeBron James. He can facilitate, he can rebound, he can slash. Can't shoot from 10 foot. Just can't.
I think he can make a 10-footer.
Maybe. Uncontested. Uncontested.
Yeah,
he only took 2 3-point shots last year.
Yeah, I know.
2. And he's a point forward.
I don't really think they're going to get it together. I'm just saying if they did, they could. And personally, because of my relationship with this show, I would love for the Sixers to beat the Boston Celtics, just so we can hear Terry make up lies of why. You know, because he would come up with something crazy. He would come up with something crazy.
Terry makes up more bull crap than anybody.
Well, here's the thing.
He comes up with. He'll send a text, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Look, if you can't BS me on NASCAR, then you are bad at BS, my
Terry
friend.
just has to realize that Boston has got 2 other teams they have to worry about: Toronto and Milwaukee.
Toronto is a surpriser. They lost Kawhi.
Toronto is such a blue collar play defense. You know,
good play. I mean,
but they're Canadian. It's like, and it's just because the Cavaliers and the Raptors had that rivalry for a while.
The Sixers depth chart is Ben Simmons, Josh Richardson, Glenn Robinson III, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid as the stars, and they got Horford coming off the bench.
You put Tobias Harris in Charlotte, he's a star.
The depth charts in the depth charts in the East to me are just not good. I mean,
did you see? Now you're a Vegas man. Did you see who's got the Vegas odds to win it all?
The NBA? No, I do not.
Probably the Clippers.
Milwaukee.
Is it Milwaukee?
Bucks. Are the odds-on favor for Vegas?
They got a good
Kevin, Vegas knows, right? Vegas knows. You were always, the gamblers, the gamblers. Vegas knows.
As good as Milwaukee is, I'll give you this. I think they can make it out of the East 100%. I just don't know if they have the firepower to face the Clippers.
You know what they always sort of allude to when they talk about Giannis?
Yeah.
He's really good and he's really athletic, but he's not quite polished yet. Like he needs to the polish is dribbling. He needs a polish.
Oh no,
jump
he
shot.
needs the polish.
Yeah, but they always like, but he's such a freakishly
Well,
good
yeah,
talent.
he's
But
just
he needs
taller and
this
stronger and
this.
fast.
Yeah,
He's just
He
taller
does.
and bigger than everybody.
That's why they basically
He's Durant without a jump shot.
A lot of people call him modern Shaq because he might not be polished, but what are you going to do with him?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with him down
Yeah.
in the paint?
But
He's
they're
just
always
modern Shaq.
But it seems
he
like
reminds me like of a
every,
7-foot Tracy McGrady.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out in my mind what he really is.
every time they bring
He's a
him
Greek
up,
freak.
that's what they say. Though. I mean,
Let me tell you what his stats compare to, Zach. Realistically, looking side by side, Giannis has the same stats as Charles Barkley.
But he looks like
25 and 10
Dwight Howard does.
The
like
25,
body wise.
yeah, the
like
25 and 10, but he's 7
ripped,
foot tall.
Ripped.
I thought he was
long-
almost averaging 30 this year.
I was just saying, career,
overall,
you're going to
yeah,
get 20.
career.
No matter what, you're going to get 25 and 10 from him, and that's what Barkley's career average is 24. He had years where it was a lot less. You know what, that's what
I'm just saying,
getting at.
Giannis, I know he's not polished,
Their depth ain't actually that bad now.
but
I'm looking at it.
damn, he's dominant.
They got George Hill, Connaughton, Robin Lopez, Ilyasova, the other Antetokounmpo. But
Yeah,
they
got
they
his brother.
but
29.6 this
I
year.
was gonna say,
but they
that's
do
close.
but they do have an Achilles heel on the team. I just found it. They're not winning it. I would bet against them with all my money.
What's the player? Who is it?
Marvin Williams. You ain't winning. Go ahead and cut off Milwaukee, cut off Boston with Terry said over here he didn't even want to mention Kemba Walker on Saturday. He didn't want to get into Kemba.
I'm 100% opposite though. I think Kemba Walker would be the reason that Boston wouldn't make a
When you
run.
said Boston, I was thinking they had Kimba. I just
Kemba Walker is more reluctant
wings
to
are
pass
good.
the ball than Kyrie Irving. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are young studs. Jason Tatum could be a star player within the next 2 years.
I like the wing style player.
They're very good. And sure, Kemba can go out there and get you 25.
And I can't say I don't like
but he
that
doesn't
style.
have to every night like he did in Charlotte. Jason Tatum will go out there. Jaylen Brown will go out there for you. So I feel like
He's on a much better team.
Brad Stevens will definitely look at him and say, "This ain't Charlotte anymore, buddy. You don't have to answer to Michael Jordan after every game, all right? You don't have to drop 25 to 30 every game. If you can get us 20 and 10, we're gonna win."
You really think Michael Jordan talked to him after every game?
I think he chewed their ass out after every game.
They used to when they were younger. I watched.
I never forget the
their
video of
depth
him
chart-
smacking Malik Monk on the head.
Their depth charts is Kemba, Jalen, Jason, Gordon Hayward, and Daniel Thies.
I don't know who Daniel Thies
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know who
is.
their starters.
But I know who
is.
the four are.
Enos Cantor's off the bench and Marcus Smart. With the rest of them, I don't know.
I'd start Enes Kanter.
Funny thing you brought up Jordan. I wanted to shoot on that a second. I saw a video. It was predicting Jordan coming back with the Bobcats. Do you remember the rumors or talks about then?
When he
It
was
was
gonna-
in 07 and in 2014, two different times.
When he
Remember
was
when
schooling them in
retired?
practice?
Exactly. Remember when he retired, he mentioned that you're going to look up and see me playing at 50 one day. I always believed he was going to do that. And the only reason I thought he retired at the first and he never came back, and call me conspiracy theorist all you want,
Points per game.
the points per game. He is barely above Wilt. And if he comes back and goes, if he averages 27 a game, he would still drop below Wilt. And I think that was the final line was, I'm going to get below Wilt. So I think that was the main thing about his non-comeback. But they talked about, Jalen Rose said he was coming back in 07. They were showing him working out with Gerald Wallace and Steven Jack, that group of Bobcats, and Raymond Felton that had went to the playoffs. And he was destroying them in practice. And then they talked about MKG. And basically Jordan destroyed MKG's confidence. Is that he played him in one-on-one in practice, and Jordan destroyed him. And they showed an interview. I've never seen the interview with MKG. One of the local reporters was talking to him, and guys, like if you ask guys a question now, they'll talk and answer. He sat silent. He said, "Was it the guy asked, was it an honor playing Michael one-on-one?" And the MKG, you know how his jump shot looks crooked. Mm-hmm. Honest to God, he sat there and he sat there crooked like this. His arms were crooked talking, and he just stared and he went, I mean, he's my boss. That was part of his answer. He's my boss. And then they went and talked about how Jordan actually destroyed the kid's confidence. And then there was another interview. This wasn't part of the documentary. Someone else had asked him. And they asked him if he goes and practices with him anymore. And this was after the MKG thing. And he specifically said, he didn't say his name. And he said, no, I don't play with them anymore. He said, as an owner, it's my job to make them think that they're good. He said, my job's not to play with them anymore. He said, I don't want to destroy their confidence coming there and beating them, and then they're realizing they're not as good as they think they are. And that's what he said. He said, I don't want I want them to think they're good.
Malik Monk.
That's how confident that dude is at basketball.
Malik Monk did something stupid as a rookie. I can't remember what it was. Maybe got a technical or something, or maybe committed a stupid foul or a turnover. And he went over to the bench, and Michael looked at him, said something to him, and smacked him on the back of the head.
That was funny.
Can't do that to a grown man.
Well, that grown man did.
He's signing your paycheck. Really, what are you going to do about
Tom,
it?
when that,
you got a trade clause somewhere? You're a rookie.
He weighs less than Hunter. I don't think Michael was worried about.
I don't think he was worried.
But still, you don't do that to a grown man. You don't do that.
You might not, but Michael Jordan really don't give a shit.
Yeah, I know he does.
Michael Jordan's not even upset that they're not even playing right now, the Hornets. You know why? Because he went and competed in a big old tuna tournament, fishing tournament this past year.
400-pounder.
Yeah.
425
on his $3 million fishing yacht.
He didn't invite me to go.
Didn't invite me either. I'm very surprised.
400.
I thought we were close.
I thought I was a celebrity.
Yeah, I thought
25.
we give him so much praise on this show.
That's what it is.
I just thought we were friends.
They didn't show no video of him reeling it in, so I'm skeptical on the reports of what happened.
Somebody underwater sticking.
I'm pretty sure he was smoking a cigar and everything.
Lackey.
That is one of the things that Jalen Rose mentioned, or some of the guys mentioned about him playing. They talked to Jim Jackson. Somebody said something to Jim Jackson about how good he looks and everything, and his age, and he said it's the cigars. And somebody says, "Well, doesn't make Michael look good?" And Jim goes, "Michael's an alcoholic."
No, that's what it is.
He drinks. Yeah, he said the cigars ain't got nothing to do with Michael. It's all about the drinking.
No, that's what my mom said when she was watching this past.
You could look at him and tell he's got
Where is
alcohol
his primary residence? Is it
Charlotte?
Okay, in Charlotte.
Yeah, he's in Charlotte.
That's what my mom said.
He's still got a house in Chicago, though, right?
I think he sold it, actually.
Oh, did he?
When him and his wife got divorced, and then
that's right.
Went through all that.
As a nurse, when she was watching him doing his interview part, obviously during The Last Dance, she'd just look at me and she said, "He's got liver problems." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Look at his eyes."
Yeah.
She says, "They're jaundiced as can be." She said, "He's got liver problems."
Is that what? Yeah. See, I noticed that as well. That it didn't look right.
You see the weight in your face and your eyes are that color. That's why I said. And then, heck, during the interviews, he had a liquor sitting right beside him the whole time.
He always had a glass.
But why would you have? I don't know. It just seems like he wouldn't do that. You know what I mean?
It seems.
Did you know?
way.
Remember in The Last Dance, they were talking about going and pounding
Transformers
beers after the game.
More than meets the
that
eye.
that was their goal in '98 was to have a 6-pack after the game. If we win, we get a 6-pack. That was their. They were trying to make
more
sure
than meets the eye.
If I have 3 beers, I need a nap. What are you talking about? 6? Out of mind. 6? How many days do I have?
Well, Tom, you weren't the greatest athlete in the world, so
I was pretty good.
Small comparison.
I was pretty good.
there's a small leap between you and Michael.
But when they talk about how much Dennis Rodman could drink, or how much like a Joe Namath could drink. And they said like he would come to practice the next day and just like reek liquor and still get through practice, never miss practice.
I know he was huge, but the legend on Andre the Giant.
I was about
to say Andre the Giant.
The biggest, best performing alcoholic of all time was probably Andre the Giant.
He would like drink like a case of wine. I mean, it's crazy.
140 something beers and didn't even couldn't in one setting.
Well, the funniest ones was the limousine drivers talking about driving him to picking him up at the hotel. By the time they got to the thing, he had drunk a case.
Yeah, Hogan. I got Hogan's autobiography. He talks about 2 things. He said he gave him a case of wine, and he said I was his running boy, and he said he hit me in the back of the head and told him bathroom break on the bus. He said, "You done drunk a bottle of wine, Andre?" He said, "I drunk the whole case." And they hadn't been gone but about an hour, And then the second thing was
his French
he said,
too.
That's where I was going with it. He's French, and he said he couldn't find any food like around here. He said there was a restaurant in California that sold all French food. He would order one of everything on the menu and sit there and eat every bit of it.
Yeah, I mean that's probably why he only lived till he's 46.
Yeah. He's like 50. 500-pound dude. I mean that's unbelievable. So.
He had a place in North Carolina though.
Yeah, I think he's buried in North Carolina. Honestly,
yeah.
Did you know? Switching topics, and we'll kind of stay on that for a second. We'll get to NASCAR right now. That the Big Show had surgery on his pituitary.
Yeah.
To restrict his gigantic
He
sizzle.
thought he
That's
was
why
gonna-
his head isn't like as big as Andre's. He's still big, but he had the surgery.
He had the same deal. There's somebody else that surprised me. I have to remember that's buried in North Carolina that I never thought would be here. I can't remember who it is now though. They're buried in like Huntersville.
Well, Blaney's got
it's Reggie White. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
So Ryan Blaney's got the pole tonight. Eric Almirola second.
I'm not
Logano
picking him.
third. Bowyer.
What time is the race? I mean, can I get that
Like
accurately?
6:30. I think it's 6:30.
6:30.
Is it on CSL?
The race.
Is the race on CSL?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Tom. Coverage. We'll give you an idea of racing. It always starts an hour before the race. No matter what, there's an hour of coverage. So if KTC says race on WCSL at 6 o'clock, that means the race will start at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, so tonight on WCSL, coverage begins at 6. Race starts at 7. However, I'll get you the exact green flag time in about 3 or 4 seconds, as fast as the internet comes up. It says exactly 7 o'clock. It's usually like a 7:05 or something like that. Green flag tonight, Tom, is 7 o'clock in Martinsville. In the lights at night. This doesn't happen much. It's happened a few times over the years with rainouts and whatnot, but this is not a normal thing in Martinsville. Jimmy finished 13th in the standings, and he had to be picked in the second group. Ends up starting 21st. Bubba Wallace will start 23rd. Looking on down, here's all the guys that have wrecked somebody. I'll tell you them. So Christopher Bell starts 32.
Joe Hunter Nemechek.
I'm gonna find him. That was my next one. Him and Busher. Busher 24th and Nemechek 18th. So there's your three.
You don't
folks
want to
that-
be around people.
No, they're gonna wreck somebody, if not anybody. Then Cole Custer starts 27th. Tom, he'll run into one of those guys who wrecked somebody. And it's
I
not
got
his
faith
fault.
in Cole.
It's not
I got
his-
faith. I
Listen.
think Cole's going to be top 10. He gets a top 10.
I don't know about that.
I'm not going to say he's going to win.
Listen,
He's going to get a top 10.
listen.
Top 10.
I'm great friends with Jesse, and Jesse is roommates with Cole. I'm just going to say, sorry, Cole, I don't know about top 10 today. I don't know. And here's the thing, too. I chose Ryan
You got to
Blaney.
get Cole on the show, Hunter. You got to suggest we've got to get him on there because the station's owner, that's his favorite driver because of his name. At some point,
And his
we gotta
number,
get him on-
41. It's a
That'd be
great
easy.
number.
That'd be easy.
41's a great.
I could
Why is that a good?
I
Name?
could make.
Because it was my
I could
number
try.
at Crest High School.
I could try and
41.
pull some strings.
It's also
They didn't
Tom
make,
I
Seaver's
could try
they
and
didn't make
pull
the
some
punters wear 90s.
No, you got whatever was
I
left.
could
Because
try.
I remember going up there and said, because Bernie Kosar was 19. I said, can I have 19? So I went through 3 numbers. And they said, no. I was like, what can I have?
You get out of that pile.
But I
So
was-
it's kind of like going to a restaurant. Can I have this? No. Can I have this?
But I will
what
say
can I
this.
have? This is what you get.
I'm not picking Ryan Blaney, even though he's got the poem. I chose Ryan Blaney, it seems like 2 races ago, and guess what happens? He got wrecked out. Even though the Fords are running as good as they could run, I'm not taking Ryan
This
Blaney.
is who I am picking. Chase Elliott.
Yes, I
He's
mean
gonna-
he's running good all
Chase
year.
starts 11th. Remember this.
What's 1
is,
through 5?
Blaney, Almirola, Logano, Bowyer, Truex, Keselowski, Bush, Bowman. But remember, these are randomly drawn, not on
They
the
didn't
This
earn
is that
it.
owner points kind of thing.
And
Yeah,
I
top
would-
12.
And my backup would be Keselowski because he's been running. Good
All right,
as well.
Keselowski's at 6. That's a good pick for this track.
The Kyle or Kurt Busch it was running.
Kyle was 7th.
That's tempting.
Yeah. Oh, I was leaning towards him, and Keselowski is who I was leaning towards on this one. The reason being at the short tracks, 2 things you need: position and driving ability. That Blaney, Almirola, Clint Bowyer's at 4th. He's got the worst luck. It seems like something stupid happens to him all the time. But I don't think Bowyer would wreck the people like Truex, Keselowski, and Kyle Busch are 5, 6, 7. Those guys will push people out of the way.
Logano's been running good too.
He'll
I
push
know-
people
I
out
know,
of the way
I know
too.
that you
and
guys
when
like
somebody
that.
touches him.
You guys,
Listen, Slowy.
There you go, Hunter.
but I tell you what, Zach, if you
My
text
anxiety just went up.
if you text Kevin during the race
Yeah.
and Jimmy Johnson takes out half the field, he will say, "It's not my fault your driver can't drive." That's what he says.
That is not what happened.
That's what he said.
I had to bring up the Zapruder film, Miles Garrett defense of Jimmy on Saturday after you left, Tom, to show Terry my defense of his driving and how Ricky's. My basic thing is Zach, a 7-time champion who's won 83 races, runs into the back of Danica Patrick's ex-boyfriend. It's probably his fault.
He
not the
keeps
champion's
bringing
fault.
up the Danica
Yeah.
Patrick's ex-boyfriend
Right.
thing.
That has a lot to do with it.
It's funny to bring
Ton
that
to,
up.
it has
too.
a ton to do with it.
But Danica Patrick was hot, Kevin. What's wrong with being Danica Patrick's ex-boyfriend? What's wrong with
Everyone has an opinions on whether Danica Patrick is hot or
that?
not.
No,
but that
these,
should
but what do you
that
think,
should be
Zach?
yours.
Be honest. Be honest. I thought she was pretty hot.
You
Hey,
pretty.
look at it. Yes, she's pretty hot. Come on now. I mean, you gotta give her a
Whoa,
little.
Tom.
I
Yikes.
thought so. What? What did I say that was inappropriate?
Danica, she is okay.
She's okay. Well, okay. We got our opinions.
Either way.
Was
We got
it
our
just?
Either
Did
way,
it make her
Ricky, it was-
hot? Did
either
it
way,
make her
it was
hot
Ricky
that she drove a
Stenhouse's-
car?
Is Ricky
Do what?
Stenhouse's
Did it
fault.
make her hot that she drove a
Ah,
NASCAR?
she had long.
Have you
pretty
seen the
black
video,
hair.
Zach?
You talking about the wreck where he went into the back of?
When Stenhouse didn't pick a lane,
Yeah.
is what happened.
But I'll say
Yeah,
this, Hunter:
I
if you're
saw it.
surrounded by 40 other dudes, you look hot. I would say that.
That's
You're
very,
very,
that is
you're
a-
very
that's
correct.
a-
Very good observation, Tom.
It's like when you're in the gym and there's like 30
you
dudes and
nailed
one
that,
chick.
Tom.
that kind of, I guess, brings it out.
All right, Tom. Now I know exactly how your mind works.
We're in the same spot
The same
now.
as yours. Right?
Yeah. Well, at least NASCAR's a lot easier to work with on these highlights, Hunter, than the WWE is.
Yeah,
We got
forget
blocked
the
again
WWE.
last week by the WWE.
Forget that.
We showed
Imagine that.
R-Truth rolling up Gronk in this backyard, and they blocked us. All 5 seconds of it.
Imagine that.
That's probably the only people that's pulling it up.
That's why. Like, do you want coverage or do you
Right.
not?
I mean, they don't even have fans in the stands. I mean, wasn't that a good thing?
That's what I thought. But
Whatever.
Hey, WWE, why don't you share us? You know, we won't block you from sharing us.
Yeah, they're not going to share.
No, I'm gonna block them. They need to know
Yeah.
anything that they
fans.
look. If we talk about the WWE and they try and use this as a segment, I'm gonna copyright claim the hell out of it.
Good luck with that.
What? It's ours.
Good
It's
luck.
ours technically.
Good
Oh,
luck
yeah.
with that.
If they don't ask for permission to use it, that's a copyright claim.
Have fun with that.
so Zach,
Have fun taking on Vince McMahon.
I'm pulling up the wreckage of that. To
Are
kinda-
we still on this?
Yes.
He does this.
Yes.
He does this.
Zach.
Damn.
All right,
Slow
Zach.
motion.
When he gets on a jag, man, it's like
right,
not
Zach.
a one show. It's like 3 or
Hey,
4.
can you stop giving them
consecutive.
free advertising?
Zach, to those folks who these people.
Yeah, it's
I guess.
cool.
Hold
Yeah,
on, let me
it's
get
like-
on.
This was Bristol.
We
right?
did it last week.
No, this was
I thought like we
this is
slowed
Bristol.
it last week.
This is Bristol. This is
Oh.
the Food City 500.
right. That's not what we're talking about.
I know. Again,
Zach, we went over this lane.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure Zach knew this.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's all I got to show you. Pausing right there. There's a guy in a blue car that's not in a lane in the back, and he got pushed. And that's what you get for
Jimmy, just go lower.
That's what you get for not being able to.
basically,
Keep-
Johnson
keep-
drove up into his quarter panel and
couldn't-
knocked him out
he
of the
can't
race.
keep a girlfriend. He obviously can't stay in the lane. Is where I'm going to go.
They
on
call
that
him
one.
Spinhouse, but I think it's Ricky Spinhouse is his
Spinhouse,
name. I think it's his name.
like a Joey.
But,
I'm gonna go. With, let's go with Brad. I'm gonna go Keselowski.
because you can't pick Kyle Busch.
No, that's not gonna happen.
That's exactly. I knew how that was gonna work.
I'm gonna go Brad.
Give me.
I don't
Kyle.
like Martin Truex either. I thought Martin was okay, and then,
I'm just
and
glad
then the
Kevin
last
Harvick's
year
not up there.
he complains every time he don't win. Like he whines about it.
Where's
Like,
Kevin Harvick starting? 12th?
he's 10th. That's why I'm concerned about that.
He's too far back.
They'll have a good car, but
Yeah.
Martin's
I say,
deal.
but he's been good this year, and it drives me crazy. I don't,
You
like
get-
Kevin
he's
Harvick.
Martin's
cheating.
doing 20th.
I don't like Kevin Harvick.
Because he's cheating.
Hunter.
I'll say it every time. You get caught time after time last year, and see they don't vacate the win. They just
Yeah.
send you a little penalty.
You lose your
They
points, don't
you
you?
lose your points and they fine you. So they won't vacate the win that he won, but it always seems like something post race. They're like, I don't know about this, Kevin. We might need to go back and maybe not do this again. We're not going to hurt you too bad. We're going to let you keep the win. So, Kevin, maybe you haven't learned your lesson this year. I can't. I would love to give him validity to his wins, but I can't.
Hey,
It's the same thing with the
baseball
Houston
said
Astros
the
now.
is just a metal piece. It's just a piece of metal, Hunter.
You're right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Hey, if we keep that same mindset.
The commissioner will say it's just a piece of metal, and then we'll argue about the how much money we're making.
Yeah,
all
if
day
that's
long.
the same mindset in NASCAR, hey, fine. Who really gives a shit that he's winning these races? The other 30 cars on the track must really not care.
Well, all right. Well, so tonight we've got Martinsville at 7 p.m. Is the green flag. 6 is the coverage starts. Points, I was just telling you a minute ago, Jimmy's sitting there at 13th, just right outside the top 12. So maybe if it with a good run this week, he can get back up in there and start getting some good starting positions. He would be in there. He just had some kind of dumb mistakes that he's wrecked himself. Harvick's first, Logano second, Chase Elliott third, Keselowski fourth, Truex fifth, Hamlin sixth, Blaney seventh, Alex Bowman eighth, the Busch brothers ninth and 10th, Almirola 11th, Clint Boyer 12th, and Jimmy 13th. Those two with some bad luck this year. They could easily either one of them be in the top 5, really. Top 10s, though, this year. Kevin Harvick's killing it. Zach, 9 in 10 races.
Yeah,
he's
been
Keselowski and Kurt Busch have 7. Kurt Busch doing good in that one car.
He did. You know what? He moved Sunday. If he had some time left, he might have won the race.
Yeah,
he was catching everybody.
I like Kurt better than I do Kyle. And what's funny about that? They did an interview, him and Jeff Gordon and Earnhardt. Earnhardt interviewed him.
Junior.
Yeah. Have you ever watched his podcast? Earnhardt's got a podcast, and he interviews these guys. And he was talking to Kurt about, and he said he basically come out and told Kurt he was a jackass until he was 30. He said nobody could talk to you, nobody liked talking to you. We didn't. Yeah, I mean, he was, and Kurt was like, and Dale said, without getting too much into it, what changed for you? Asking what changed and everything. And Kurt was like, well, I guess that I must have been that big of a jerk for everybody to really notice it and keep saying. He said everybody says it's kind of the same thing. Is that I'm a different person.
He probably was like,
I think it was part of him having like daughters.
Did he get married or something?
I think that was
maybe that's why he sucks at racing now.
He's worried
because he was better than Kyle, early. You know what I'm saying? They kind of switched. They switched. You remember, Kurt was really good, 10 years ago. Now, he might.
People started
to
say, "Look, you're starting to act like Kyle."
He might
He's
win.
Like, oh God. He's like, can't quite be compared to my own brother that way.
Yeah, I had to see total wins on both of them to see where Kurt.
Well, I can just
up.
Go ahead and tell you,
it's not
one of them's got 101 wins. According to
it's not 100.
I don't think Kurt's quite got 100, guys.
But he was so, I don't know if you saw it, but he was so matter of fact. He had his little piece.
Was it a Saturday? It was a Saturday, right?
It was when I was in
got to watch it. I've got to pull it up and watch it because I just want to laugh.
And he's got 100 NASCAR wins. And I'm like, wait, whoa, no. Wait, no. So wait, I start on the computer. And then Kevin, I'm glad Tom is there. And I
didn't even have to say it. I'm glad y'all called it because he was over here acting like a fool talking about his minor league wins.
That's Kevin's favorite word, by the way, fool.
Minor league. But without cussing people, you just say it's this fool. So let's see. Here's the folks that's won the last few races in Martinsville. Truex and Keselowski won last year. Logano and Boyer the year before. Kurt Busch and Keselowski the year before that. Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch in 16. 15 Gordon and Hamlin. 14 Earnhardt and Kurt Busch. So it's not a person that's won a lot of them. A couple have won 2. Kyle's won 2.
It's got a lot to go back with what you said a minute ago. You got to have the position,
the track position on it.
That's the big.
Blaney might come out. This might be the one for him, Hunter. Sitting in the one spot, should be 1 through 4 all day. Unless he messes up, he'll stay in the top.
Well, he wrecked out the last time I picked him, so I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to stick with the most aggressive driver on the field, and Kyle.
All right, Tom. You said who'd you say?
I said Chase Elliott.
Where's he at?
Logano's up there too. I kind of like Logano, but I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott's starting 7th. Didn't you say?
Kyle.
Elliott's starting 10th. Yeah, Kyle. The Bushes are starting up there.
8 and 9. You might have had the Elliott at 7.
Well, that short track though, you better be
Kurt
up
and
towards
Kyle's
the top.
back to back.
Yeah.
That's in the standings, not the start. That's the standings.
Then Kyle was started 7th then.
All right, Hunter. Any other news and notes on our daily podcast things? Do we have a Mount Rushmore? Anyone want to do one?
I don't have a Mount Rushmore, but I do have. The MLS is coming back. Yeah. I'm probably the only one here that's really excited about it, but
I could throw this in. Burns having a fundraiser golf tournament July 25th. So contact Coach Devine if you're interested in raising a little money for Burns High School.
Is that
football.
Still the Dan Greer golf tournament?
I don't know. I just got
it didn't have his name on it on this one. It said 5th annual. That's been about the same number of years.
From Coach Devine today,
right.
And I don't want to give Coach Devine's text his phone number.
No, but if he puts it on his ad,
mad at me if I do that. But you can email Coach Devine at Burns High School. It's easy to find. But I have here, it is the Burns football golf tournament, Saturday, July 25th at Woodbridge. contact. Oh, David Devine did put his phone number on there. So it is, I think it's 692-6195. I don't have my reading glasses. That's something I forgot. But Coach Devine did put his cell phone number on there. So if anybody listens and wants me to forward that message, I'd be happy to send it to you. But that's Burns Golf Tournament. Remind me to get it again Saturday, to put it out there so we can promote this thing and support Burns High School football.
I would like, need to talk to Mr. Bowles over too. We like to play in these tournaments as much as we can, but we also, what I'd like to do, Tom, and maybe you want to mention to David, I would like to talk to him about trading a whole or team or sponsor to actually come out there and do a remote broadcast from some of these. And you know, we put our good golfers on the team and let you guys goof around and talk to the guys on the. We've done a few of these before in the past. They're pretty fun.
I think he just insinuated that we weren't any good at golf.
No, you're not. You're not making the cut.
I promise you, I'm not.
Y'all aren't making.
I'm
the
horrible.
Cut.
You've never even seen me play golf.
It doesn't matter. I know who's on the team.
Who would that be?
All right, Pasco.
Yeah, Pasco's pretty good.
Shannon Allen's pretty good. Tim Johnson's pretty good. Jeff Jones is pretty good. So we got a decent. Dustin Day is pretty good.
Yeah, Dustin's good. Yeah.
Well, Dustin might not qualify as a KTC person anymore since we quit the paper deliveries. That was his last bit.
Oh, really?
He hadn't been able to do a video in a while because it was the other work and stuff. So, but I can still sneak Dustin out there if I need to. But yeah, that's kind of like the things we like to do is and then so the group that goes around playing, we'll we can call into you guys and give updates on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot and have a good time. We got some great pictures. We used to sponsor the Catawba. My wife used to teach at elementary up there across from East Lincoln, and we did theirs. And if you've seen our video or opening video of Andre blowing up the golf ball, that's where that was at. We used to sponsor a par 3 up there and head close to the pin. And one of the things we've done a hole one time where we got all of these old type of different putters. So we had a pink putter, an old time a wooden putter. We had a croquet mallet and a baseball bat, and you had to draw of a hat, and that's what the team had to putt with. So a pool stick, you could do the pool stick.
Well, that's fun.
So those are some fun things you could do, the closest to the pins and all of that. But I'd be interested in definitely doing some type of broadcast if they were interested in that. If not, I mean, we could just play in it and do whatever. But I'd rather do some type of cross promotion type thing.
Well, I will tell David I have recruited a KTC team.
They're having it at Woodbridge. I saw that, and that's what I'm excited about is getting back there and playing over there. I haven't played there since they've reopened it. I hate when these courses close down. The par 3 course just closed over here in
Grove.
You know Challenger 3 closed?
I thought it did. I rode by the other day and it looked horrible.
They closed it down to put up a Christmas light village for one time a year.
They make more money in that than they do for golfing. That's what happened.
I just don't understand, why these folks buy these golf courses that don't intend on keeping them open and doing something else. Like there is hundreds and hundreds of acres of farmland and unused land in this in this state, in this county, in these counties, in this country. Hundreds and hundreds of acres of land.
A place where you can practice your short game.
So let's shut down the golf course to put up something to ride around in the dark.
It looked horrible out there
for a month in December. So yeah,
because we rode by it and Mandy had mentioned she wanted to stop at the new, if they opened it up,
right,
the new park.
The Cleveland Country Club will be hosting the Cleveland Community College one with the Yetis out there. We will not be volunteering to be wearing the Yeti. Honey, you want to wear the Yeti? No Yeti.
I like playing at Pine Grove that they turned into a cow field.
That was the best one. That's where I learned to play golf at. Was Pine Grove.
Name the Yeti Vanilla Ice. There you go. That'd be a great name for it. Might have some trademark issues, but worth a shot.
Tom's upset with it being blue. So
we're not getting into that today. It's too close to the end of the show.
All right, Tommy. All right, anybody else got any news and notes that we missed this week on anything before I decide to play it away and end the show on Playmakers or anything?
We could do top 4 drivers that never won 100 races.
Oh, shit.
I think at the top of that list, Herb Busch. We're done.
I mentioned this Monday. This is for Zach and Tom. James Harden had his jersey retired this week. Did y'all see that? Yes.
Still playing.
Oh, yes.
But it wasn't in the NBA.
It wasn't in the NBA.
What was it?
It was an adult establishment after he's dropped $1 million in one night.
Hey. He's got it.
He got his jersey retired after dropping $1 million.
And that's the only way it'll ever be retired.
In one night at an adult dancing.
And I got to cash out equity to redo my kitchen, so I really don't care about these guys wanting over money. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now.
This is one of cost you some money. There's one of the ones going around the internet real quick. Your best advice in 4 words or fewer. One of my favorites that has done this is there's a Twitter handle on here. It's called Crime a Day. Any of you follow it or seen it before?
Crime a Day? No.
All right, this guy started doing research, and Tom was like, Tom, this should be a book that you should have in your class. It's called How to Become a Federal Criminal. So basically what this guy does is every single day he tweets out a federal statute of laws. And some of these guys are some of the dumbest things.
Oh, you're talking about like
in the
one of them that would be
world.
like it's a federal offense to ride a horse butt naked
Something
down like
like
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So he has a whole book, and so he tweets out one a day.
Yeah.
And what's funny is he's got a counter on his profile because they keep adding new federal laws. So he's got a counter to when this Twitter feed will end if they didn't add any more laws. So he could tweet a crime a day for 50 years. That's how many laws are on the books. So it's just so many random things. His quote was, "Never speak to police." If you've ever talked to a lawyer, that's what they will all say: is never talk to the police. So that was his. Field Yates tweeted. This is why I brought this up for Zach. Never trade Christian McCaffrey. Do you agree with that? No.
Is he
was
wait.
quick.
Now Field Yates does a lot with fantasy. Is he talking fantasy football or is he talking?
It didn't say.
See, because he has a
It didn't
show with
say.
fantasy football,
It
and
didn't say.
he might mean that in fantasy terms because
$16 million for Christian McCaffrey.
For a running back. You don't even have to say the name on that, Tom, really. Let me get this guy's book has been banned in a couple of prisons, by the way, and a couple of other places. So I'm gonna go. Let me read a couple here to finish the day just for fun, because I like to do some of this. Nope, his remain silent. Same thing as don't talk to police. It's a federal crime to search for buried treasure on public lands. Anybody know that one?
damn. All those X's that are marking the spot right now, I just can't dig on
It's
them.
a federal crime to sell fluoride mouthwash without instructing people to vigorously swish.
Yeah, you don't want them swat. Yeah.
It's a federal crime to endanger someone by incapacitating a locomotive engineer while they're driving the train. Do you have that statute down, Tom? Have you broken that line?
I haven't.
I came close one time.
I haven't done that one.
Then I remembered it was.
It's a federal
Federal
crime
offense.
to import shaving soap containers that could be reused as shaving mugs unless they're marked with their country of origin.
That's fascinating.
It's a federal crime for cotton not to be sacked immediately after being cut for sampling. If you don't sack it immediately, you've broken a federal law. Federal crime to sell jam made of a combination of more than 5 fruits. Zach, would Maria have broke that law?
Probably.
She had a lot of jams in her cabinet, didn't she? Her grandma.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma was a federal criminal. We didn't even know it for putting too many jams together. I'm telling you, these things are awesome. Federal crime for more than 3,000 people to conduct a demonstration in Lafayette Park unless the regional director is satisfied that it's unlikely there will be an unreasonable disruption of violence.
I feel like that's kind of been broken maybe a couple times.
How is that? That's an opinion. Is that not an opinion? It's a federal crime if this guy's opinion is what? Federal crime to use a fire explosive to maliciously damage or destroy a building, vehicle, or other property used in interstate or foreign commerce.
Well, that's the Interstate Commerce Clause.
There
That's
you
an
go.
easy one.
It's a federal crime for International Space Station crew members to not have a harmonious relationship.
What the hell?
Does anybody explain what that means?
Means nobody
Means
can
they
hear.
ain't getting along.
Listen,
or they
it's a
should be, or they're
federal
federal
crime.
crime.
Listen, that
If
means
y'all disagree.
That means they know we can't hear your screams from space. So
don't choke somebody out. We can't do nothing bad about it.
Yes.
It's a federal crime to sell canned whole mushrooms if the mushroom stems measure longer than the diameter of the mushroom cap. It's a federal crime in Minnesota to cause the death of another by perpetrating an
Sad
act.
thing is, somebody had to come up with these.
Brave mind
I
in
was
that
just
regard
getting
in
ready
your
to
life.
say, if you read this, you really need a part-time job.
Think about it, this guy wrote a book. He just put all these together, and it's just
You need a part-time job.
making millions off of doing this. Making a federal crime for a crew member of the International Space Station to use their position in a way that appears motivated by their own financial gain or financial gain of others.
Just saying, like,
You can't sell Hunter went to space T-shirts.
damn it.
Or I'm a space cowboy. You can't sell those.
I think somebody, a pastor said at one time. I was going to one of the sermons, and he mentioned, he said we have our laws in America that are so long and tedious like this because we can't follow the 10 that.
Yeah.
There's 10 simple ones we
Come
can't
on with
hear.
the 10 when and you have to put all these in because you can't follow the 10.
Tom, this one's for you. Make it a federal crime to get drunk at the United States Meat Animal Research Center.
Why is that for me?
It should have been for Zach. I was just saying it's for anybody.
Because
Really.
I'm a meat manager.
He's a meat man. A federal crime to sell a sausage-like meat product that isn't actually sausage unless each link is prominently marked imitation. Did you know that one? Meat manager.
Why do I feel like I'm at like some kind of insurance seminar?
I do know that
You gotta know. Hey, I keep reading these meat ones. Zach's gonna be a federal criminal
I
at some
do
point.
know for a fact that if we weigh something, let's just say this: if I weigh up kebabs, right? It's
Okay.
just something very easy. I cannot weigh it and sell it to you unless it's got an ingredient label on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually makes
Yep,
sense.
because it's got peppers, onions, chicken, whatever. It's got to tell you exactly what's in it. So
right.
that one right there
Just
kind of coincides with that.
Just a couple more. Make it a federal crime to park a bicycle inside the building at the National Institute of Standards and Technology.
Because they're above bicycles.
Make it a federal crime to lie to an on-duty forest officer, but he can lie to you, and he cannot know the law. Make it a federal crime to sell spray antiperspirant without warning people they could die if they inhale it on purpose.
I mean, we did have dumbasses eating Tide Pods, so.
Well, that's the crazy ones that made them look tasty.
Let's see if Zach and Tom remember this. Zach and Tom remember this one, right? My wife didn't know this song. What was the original Tide Pods? Do y'all remember? Comet. It makes your teeth turn green. Comet. Y'all remember that commercial?
I do not.
Comet used to have a commercial. Comet, it makes your teeth turn green. Comet, it makes you something. But at the end, it's Comet will make you vomit. So buy some Comet today. That was the
I
thing.
know that.
It was about vomiting Comet. Don't eat it. That was the original Tide Pods.
I know that'll make a mess. That Comet will.
I looked at some Comet. It looked pretty tasty.
Look like green tang.
All right, here's my two. Make it a federal crime to advertise a drug without explaining the situations in which you shouldn't take it.
That makes sense.
You shouldn't take it
Or the,
while you're bent
side
over
effects.
on the toilet.
Oh God, I can't read some of this. Some of this is just hilarious. All right, final one. Make it a federal crime to mail a corn on the cob from Bermuda to United States without a permit. Ladies and gentlemen, there's your American crimes you're wondering about what
Hear
a
it all
problem
here,
is,
Zach.
and there you go. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for Saturday morning sports talk with Hunter and Terry and some breakfast. We'll see you guys Saturday morning on KTC Broadcast and Shock Joxx.
The game plays right here.
Are you ready for some football?
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.